Weather remains very, very pleasant. Has clouded over slightly, but plenty of blue sky above. Still very warm, and the colours, you can always tell when the weather is warm because the colours of the crowd in their bright T-shirts always more vibrant than the dull overcoats when, well, Fletch, I mean, you've probably been here in April when it's -2 and there's 4 or 5 people in the crowd under umbrellas. It's refreshing to see people in and people enjoying the summer weather.
I've been here in June when it's been -2 and there have been people in grey overcoats. Yeah, no, you're right. The colours do come out when the sun shines. Unfortunately, we're going to have to make the most of it because it's going to rain a bit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then the temperature's going to plummet again by Sunday back to the lower than average temperatures according to the forecast that I've been looking at today. So we'll make the most of this. And of course, they start playing 50 over cricket on Sunday. I mean, it's lunacy, isn't it, really? They've got a friendly against Cheshire and then they start the competition proper next Wednesday at Northampton. So, but it's such a big game tonight. Woody mentioned the game against Worcestershire last season when Derbyshire just simply didn't turn up. I mean, it was awful. They knew if they won that game, and there was no other real complications to it, if they won that game, they were through to the quarterfinals, and on the day they just froze. They've got more experienced players, possibly, you would think, this season with the addition of Samit, with the addition of Ross Whiteley, Pat Brown, Mohammed Amir. Mohammed Amir hasn't won them a game yet. It's about time he did, I think, for the money that they've spent on bringing him back for just 6 matches. He needs to win them a game, the overseas. He is the sort of key overseas player. Forget about Darren Dupavalon and Cam Fletcher, good players. But this is a world star, Mohammed Amir, and he has yet to win them a game. And this could be his last chance because I can't imagine that he's going to be around in September when the quarterfinals are played.
No, today would be a good time for Mohammed Amir to show his undoubted quality. Just a quick reminder of the state of play. With
off you go.
As briefly as I possibly can, in a simplistic manner as I possibly can. There are 3 sides just outside 4th place which will get you a quarter-final spot. Derbyshire, Yorkshire and Durham all on 13 points. Leicestershire currently in 4th on 14. So if Leicestershire beat Birmingham Bears at Edgbaston, then all bets are off and they're through. Doesn't matter what happens elsewhere. But if they lose, which is anticipated because the Bears are playing well, they did lose against Northants, so yesterday or the day before?
Last night, yeah.
It was last night. So I suppose it's a good thing from a Derbyshire perspective that the Bears will want to finish top of the group and they've already secured a home quarter-final because of the net run rate, but they'd like to end the campaign with a win and finish top of the group, which I think would be the 3rd time in a row that they're serial group winners of the Bears.
Never get through though, do they?
No, and then they always stumble in front of their own in a quarter-final. So if Leicestershire lose, then it opens the door for Derbyshire, Yorkshire and possibly Durham. So whoever wins this out of Derbyshire and Durham would move on to 15 points and into 4th. It gets complicated when net run rate comes into play. Derbyshire's better than Yorkshire's, but not by much. Yorkshire face the whipping boys of the group, and that's Notts, which would normally fill us with joy, but not tonight, because if Yorkshire win heavily and Derbyshire say scrape victory, then it's likely that Yorkshire will go through courtesy of a better net run rate. So it is a little bit complicated. Tom, I suppose from a Derbyshire perspective, they will just banish all thought of net run rate and just say, we need to win, and then hope that favours are achieved elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, they'll just be concentrating on trying to get the victory. If an opportunity presents itself to try and... It's a little bit harder batting first to try and make the most of a net run rate. They'll be trying to get the best score they can possibly get batting first, and then obviously, as always, try and restrict the opposition to as low a score as possible. The only way that net run rate you could have a bigger impact on it is if you're chasing and you knock the score off in double quick time. But like you said, tonight they're just going to have to try and banish all of that out of their mind and try and make sure they get the victory first and foremost and see where it takes them.
Sorry, Woody, here's the thing. Up at Headingley, Yorkshire have chosen to put Nottinghamshire in. So they'll be looking to bowl them out very quickly and then reach whatever target they're set in rapid time, which will boost their net run rate, clearly. In the other games, Birmingham have decided to bat first against Leicestershire. at Edgbaston. And the game at Old Trafford's interesting only for the fact that if Northampton should become one of those rarities, a team, an away team that wins at Old Trafford against Lancashire, they can finish second and pick themselves up a home quarter-final, which will be an astonishing achievement for a side that they're not entirely serial qualifiers for the knockout stages these days, not like they used to be when they had a team packed full of South African, 25-stone South Africans usually, who could biff the ball quite a long way. They're a different side now, but a successful one. But the important thing is Yorkshire have won the toss and they put Nottinghamshire into bat at Headingley. So, as you say, we'll keep an eye on that as the evening goes on.
Yeah, Fletcher will keep you right across events elsewhere, as I say, with particular emphasis on the game at Edgbaston, because if Leicestershire win that match, then it doesn't matter what Derbyshire, Yorkshire or Durham do, Leicestershire will take that final spot in the quarter-finals from the North Group. There are a plethora of South Group games as well. Most of it done and dusted, actually, in the South Group. Only Essex have a chance of pipping Gloucestershire to a quarter-final spot. But as I say, we shall keep you up to date as we move through the evening. Tom, it's difficult with Derbyshire batting, and they won't really know the state of the other games. But you wonder, with Durham in particular, whether, again, the fact that they need to win quite convincingly did play a part in their decision to bowl first. Will there be any of that thought when it gets later in the game and perhaps it's looking likely that Yorkshire are winning quite comfortably? Will there be any hint of we need to accelerate this? I suppose when you're bowling, probably not. You just want to take as many wickets as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I think for Durham, that's definitely played a part in their thinking. They're quite a long way behind on net run rate, so their only real chance would be to have a big victory. And I think the best way to get a big victory is to bat second and try and knock off the score in double quick time. But in terms of Derbyshire, like you said, it is harder when you bowl in second to try and force a big difference in net run rate. They'll obviously be trying to bowl them out as cheaply as possible, the same way they always would. Whereas when you're chasing a score, as Fletch said, you often pace the chase with the time allowed.
You'll have to pay him every time you say it, though, so don't say it too often.
It's a little bit easier. You can obviously up the ante and go a bit quicker, take a bit more risk to try and knock it off quicker, whereas when you're bowling, you're always trying to get them out as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Not too far from the off here at the county ground as the floodlights flicker into life. We won't be needing their services until a lot later. It's remaining very, very bright. The sun is creeping through some cloud, and we can see some very light shadows on the county ground pitch. Derbyshire will be setting the target first. They will be batting first. So Lewis Rees and Aaron Donald coming to the crease. The Durham fielders making their way out of the pavilion. The young mascots in their yellow T-shirts, half-heartedly waving flags. Not a great deal of effort going into that. Maybe they'll accelerate when the Derbyshire... It is true, that's to be fair.
Nobody wants to wave an umpire onto a field.
That's very true. Don't wave your flags that enthusiastically for the umpires. They're waiting for the off because they're all crowding around the bottom of the stand there. And they'll be followed by the Derbyshire openers. And Tom, we can see them on the steps actually, but Aaron Donald and Lewis Rees. And whenever Derbyshire bat, there is always excitement because we know what Aaron Donald in particular can do, and what he has done already in this campaign is proven that when he hits them, they stay hit. Derbyshire could really do with a good start from him.
Yeah, they could. He's an exciting player, and he puts bums on seats. We've seen what he can do so far this tournament, and everybody, well, Derbyshire's fans especially, will be hoping for another night out from an Aaron Donald because he's a dangerous player. He can take games away from opposition very quickly. If he has a night out, it'll put Derbyshire in an unbelievable position to try and get through to a quarter-final.
Yeah, recent scores, Fletch, he had a blistering start, didn't he? The first few games he was, apart from the very first one from memory, I think he got a duck, didn't he?
He did, here in that win over Nottingham.
Yeah.
It's out for a first baller caught on the boundary from memory, but he's got an 84 off 41 against Yorkshire in a losing cause, 52 off 26 against Nottinghamshire in a losing cause. 68 off 26 against Northamptonshire here, which was blistering, and that was the one half century that he's got this season that actually been in a winning cause. Most recently, though, 18, 22, 30, 28, all at well in excess of a run a ball. If he goes on, then Derbyshire can set a very, very impressive target. If he doesn't go on, it might just calm them down a little bit, slow them down a little bit. But we shall wait and see.
So in bright sunshine, the teams take to the field. Durham winning the toss, and they will bowl first. Lewis Rees and Aaron Donald striding out to the middle. Decent crowd in, sun is shining. It's a must-win for Derbyshire. If they win, they have every chance of making the quarter-finals, but Dave Fletcher will keep you right across all the matches that matter. It's Derbyshire-Durham. It's live on BBC Radio Derby in the company of former Derbyshire batter Tom Wood and Dave Fletcher.
Good job I don't get nervous, isn't it, really, watching Derbyshire play cricket? Otherwise I'd be in an absolute mess tonight. I am quite nervous, to tell you the truth. Yeah, Derbyshire out there, the two openers, and Aaron Donald and Lewis Rees, who will face the first delivery, and it's going to be Callum Parkinson. His left arm spin in a parallel universe. Callum Parkinson will be playing for Derbyshire. I'd have had him. He came here on loan from Lancashire.
No, he was on the academy.
Well, he came on loan from Lancashire before deciding to go and play for Leicestershire. Callum Parkinson. Stop it, Woody. You're making me more nervous now.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't. He was signed for Derbyshire before. He was on the academy.
No, he wasn't.
He was. I was on the academy with him.
Well, he must have gone back to Lancashire because he signed on loan. He signed on loan. We'll check it. We'll check it at half time, or somebody can let me know how that I'm right. He came on loan. He'd agreed to come to Derbyshire, and then off he went to Leicestershire instead. Anyway, whatever he did, he's on his way in now over the wicket to bowl to Lewis Rees, who gets the first run of the evening, pushing that one into the leg side. Oh, they're going to come back for a second as well, and they get back for the second. Lewis Rees was running to the danger end there. That's a good show of intent.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous then when they came back for the second, but they made that comfortably.
If you want to carry on listening to the cricket, as Chris has just reminded me, you need to be on AM, DAB and online. On FM, it's time for the news.
That's an unbelievable shot from Lewis Rees. Gets down on one knee, second ball, and sweeps Parkinson to deep square for 4.
I've only got one job, Woody, and I've just failed dismally. And I just about crept in, I think, there. I hope I didn't cause Nigel too many palpitations. He's got a 4 there. Explain to me what happened, because I was too busy looking at the clock.
So the field set with long on and deep mid-wicket, and he's just got down on one knee and played a beautiful sweep shot square of the wicket to deep backward square, and that's prompted a change in the field with long on up and deep square back.
Parkinson is in, and that one
Oh,
is
no,
on.
he's bowled
him round his legs. He's bowled him round his legs, off stump peg back. Lewis Rees goes. Parkinson strikes in the first over. Derbyshire 6 for 1.
Yeah, Lewis Rees has tried to take advantage of that field change and get across into the offside and just tickle it into the leg side for an easy single, but he's gone a bit too far and he's missed it. It's just clipped leg stump. It's a soft dismissal there after what looked like a promising start after 6 from the first 2 balls.
David Lloyd comes out to join in Aaron Donald, who they were the opening partnership at one point there in this T20 blast. Lewis Rees goes. He has made 9, 15, 23, 13 and this 6 since returning to the side. Didn't make an awful lot of runs in the first 3 matches of the campaign either. He's had, by his standards, a very disappointing T20 blast campaign, Lewis Rees. He's been replaced by the man who's got the most T20 runs for Derbyshire this season, David Lloyd, which is surprising. It sort of shows the not quite feast or famine with an Aaron Donald, but that kind of thing, whereas David Lloyd has gone along nicely. He's made lots of 40s, made a couple of half centuries.
Yeah. And Aaron's missed a few games as well at the start.
Yes, he did. Lloyd tries to get off the mark first ball, turning that one into the leg side, but straight to a fielder, and as a result, there is no run. Ashton, no, it could be Nathan South. I think it's Ashton Turner, though. In the leg side there, as Parkinson is in again. Bowls to Lloyd, who goes for the cut shot that went a long way over the top of his bat. Through to wicketkeeper Ollie Robinson. Probably ought to be playing for England, but that's a discussion for another day, as this next delivery is turned up towards mid-on. They're going through for a quick single here. There is a shot at the stumps. It actually hits Lloyd's bat as he grounds it. And the first over comes to an end. 7 runs from it, but Derbyshire are 7 for 1 after 1. Not the start they were looking for.
No, early wickets never advantageous. Batting first, trying to set a total. You want to get off to a good start, and to lose an early wicket just sets you back a little bit. Not the start they wanted to get off to.
See Paul Coughlin?
It is, yep.
Coghlan from the City end.
Durham shirts with the
aren't they?
half yellow, half blue with white letters make it very difficult to distinguish numbers. Fletch struggles enough as it is to see who it is without not being able to see the numbers.
You're not wrong. The white numbers, which are the second numbers on the backs of the shirts, the ones on the right, if that makes any sense. You can't see them. Here's Paul Coghlan then bowling to David Lloyd, and Lloyd drives. It's a no ball. He's overstepped. The umpire's arm went out straight away. Hassan Adnan, who's standing at the City end. It's David Milnes, the large figure of David Milnes. And it's a free hit, obviously. So what will David Lloyd do with this? Yes, thank you. What will David Lloyd do with this free hit? I'm sure there are people inside the crowd who don't understand all the laws of cricket, but I think there's probably the vast majority will understand it'll be a free hit when the umpire does the free hit sign. Anyway, they can't change the field, so because David Lloyd didn't take a run off that ball. Coghlan is in, and that's a no ball again, surely. Yep, another no ball. So he's going to have to bowl that. It's still a free hit. We'll get confirmation from the PA system, of course. The score moves up to 11 for 1. I know he's a bit confused now, I think, the PA man. So he's asking, there we go, for clarification of the fact it's still a free hit. That we still haven't started officially the second over. In comes Coghlan and bowls, and Lloyd doesn't get too much on that. The only way you can be out from a free hit is run out. He isn't going to be run out because he barely touched that ball up to mid-on. Picks up a single, moves to 212.
I think he was a little bit deceived by a slower ball there from Coghlan, following up with a fast bumper over his head with a slower ball, and it just deceived David Lloyd a little bit, and he had to pull out. Hence why he didn't quite hit it as hard as you would have expected him to try to on a free hit, I think.
Launch it somewhere. He's got off the mark a couple of times already this season from memory on with sixes. As this next delivery to Donald is pushed up towards mid-on, he has to race forward. There's a shot at the stumps that misses by about a yard. Our television has gone funny. If anybody's in the room, it's gone completely now. It might be the scoreboard. 13 for 1. Yeah, I think it is the scoreboard that's gone on the blink, which isn't ideal. We've got the old scoreboard, which says 13 for 1. Lloyd 2, Donald 1. We'll keep you as across it as I possibly can. As Coghlan is in and bowls to Lloyd, who cuts this away. That's going to be 4. That was using the pace of the bowler very nicely there. Got it in front of the man down at wide, third man away to our right-hand side. And a boundary for David Lloyd, who moves on to 6, 17 for 1. It's back. The scoreboard's back, would it? It's only acting as a big screen. It's no longer acting as a scoreboard. So it said 4, but nothing else.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful 4 at that. Like you said, he used the pace and he's slashed that away through backward point. It's hit the advertising boards before anyone's moved. It's gone like a tracer bullet. He's timed that lovely. And it prompted a change in the field. Slip has come out into mid-wicket.
Coghlan's on his way in again. Bowls to Lloyd, who lifts this out towards third man, and he's 6. For a moment, I thought third man was going to be interested in that one, but it's gone over his head down to our right-hand side and all the way for 6 to David Lloyd. He moves on to 12, and Derbyshire at 23 for 1.
Yeah, fast start from David Lloyd again. It's short and it's wide, and he's thrown the kitchen sink at that. He's got a thick edge straight over third man for 6.
Deliberately played, though. Deliberately played over third man. I mean, his heart might have been in his mouth for a moment or two, I would imagine.
He's just thrown the sink at that. Not really concerned too much about where it goes.
This time he's dabbed it down to Nathan Souter, who's at wide third man for a single. David Lloyd, he moves to 13. You know when your computer goes into emergency mode? That's exactly what this screen has done now. We've got a scoreboard I'm not massively familiar with. But it does tell us that Derbyshire are 24 for 1. Donald has 1, Lloyd has 13, and Coghlan's got 1 ball of his first over to go, and he's already conceded 17 runs for it, and he bowls now to Donald, who plays and misses at that one. Ball goes through to the keeper. 24 for 1 after 2 overs, 17 runs off that one. That's exactly the kind of over that Derbyshire would have been looking for at this stage.
Yeah, it's a great reply after losing a wicket in the first over to get up to 24 in the second over. He's is a brilliant start, and Callum Parkinson's coming back on again. 2 right-handers getting a wicket in his first over. Teams talk a lot about matchups, and anyone who can take the ball away from the batter is always favoured and looked upon to try and do the business. Field is long off and deep mid-wicket to David Lloyd. Mid-on is in the circle.
Can he sweep it backward of square? Against the spin as he cuts this one out into the offside, and there's no run. It's got straight to the field on the edge of the circle at cover. Unreliable Nottinghamshire, a 7-for-1 after 2 overs up at Headingley against Yorkshire. Birmingham 14 without loss against Leicestershire. In the second over there, Lloyd just clips this one rather hurriedly up towards mid-off. There's a shy at the stumps. David Lloyd isn't running anywhere near as freely as you might expect. He pulled up last night and has clearly done some harm to a knee. Doing what he can out there not to show any pain, as you would expect. He's played most of the season with a broken finger in first-class cricket, certainly. So he doesn't want to show pain. Lancashire 16 without loss against Northants, incidentally. Here, Derbyshire 25 for 1. Aaron Donald has swept that so fine that it's gone racing away down to fine leg. He's almost sort of scooped it around the corner. He wasn't down on one knee, was he? It was more of a, what kind of shot's that, Woody? Describe that for me.
Yeah, it's not the best ball from Parkinson. It's a full toss down leg side, so it was almost a bit of a paddle sweep, just helped it round the corner, helped it on its way.
Paddle sweep, I'll just make a note of that. There are that many shots. Now, there used to be about 3 shots when I started watching cricket. There are far more now. Parkinson bowls, and then Aaron Donald's gone big, down towards long off for 6. He's not going to hang around now. He's got his first boundary. Now he's got his first 6. He's got 11 off 4 deliveries, and Derbyshire are 35 for 1, and we're only in the 3rd over.
That's a beautiful shot from an Aaron Donald, just using his feet and dancing down, getting to the pitch and just striking it straight over long off. It's one of his strengths. He likes to run at spinners and hit them straight. Brilliant start for Derbyshire this. Ultra positive again in the power play.
Milnes wants to have a look at the ball. It's just been bashed into the sight screen down below us. I'm not surprised he wants to have a look at it. Parkinson bowls. Oh no, he's got a top edge. He's going to be out. Caught on the edge of the ring. He is out, and Aaron Donald, he's gone. And he went to the well, not that often really, but he has gone for 11, and Derbyshire lose their second wicket. They're 35 for 2 in the 3rd.
Yeah, he's tried to do what you suggested for David Lloyd, to try and get down on one knee and sweep him to square leg where there's no fielder out on the boundary, but it looks like he's got it on the top of the bat on the stickers. He's got none of it, and it's just looped up for an easy catch at 45. Derbyshire 35 for 2. Off to a good start, but lost 2 wickets now.
Ben Rain with the catch on the edge of the circle. 11 off 5 deliveries. 2 wickets now for Callum Parkinson. 2 for 18 from 11 deliveries for the former Leicestershire man. It was a really good pickup for Durham, who had his twin brother with them last season in the... might have been in the Blast, certainly in the 50 over competition. Matt was playing for them. He's down at Kent now. Big Bolton Wanderers fan, which is something you can always hold against him. Both former Bolton school pupils, of course, as so many of Lancashire's recruits are. And Parkinson has... Well, Coughlan's just been having a drink and realised he couldn't really keep that bottle out there with him. So he's passed it on.
Launched it across the mid-off to take to the boundary.
Yeah, you take it. I've had enough. Wayne Madsen, the new batter, and the first delivery he faces is driven out towards a wide long off. They've run 1. Are they going to come back for the second? They are. And they get back for 2 comfortably. So Wayne Madsen up and running, 37 for 2 after 3 overs, 13 runs off that particular over. But the loss of an Aaron Donald, which could, in the long run, proved to be fairly costly. So they've lost both openers already, Rees for 6 and an Aaron Donald for 11.
Yeah, I think that's the one area of an Aaron's game where he can develop. He is so dangerous, he's so talented, he strikes the ball so well, he's got all the shots in the book, but it's just the one spot where he can improve for me is just his management of innings and building an innings. He always comes out and scores incredibly quickly, and it almost just seems a little bit too cheap for somebody who is that good with that much ability to just get out so quickly, especially having just hit a 4 and a 6. he can manage his innings a little bit better for me and go on to make bigger scores and make more contributions to winning games rather than getting quick 20s and 30s.
I think you're right. England's Matty Potts is on to bowl from the City end. First ball is turned into the leg side by David Lloyd for a single. So Lloyd moves to 15.38 for 2. Have you heard of Freddie McCann and Sam King?
Sam King plays for Notts.
Yes, but they both do. They're batting together at the moment for Notts. I've heard of neither of them. They're 23 for 1 in the 4th over. What kind of side Notts have got out, I've no idea. Which is very decent of them, clearly. In comes Potts and bowls to Madsen, who goes back and cuts that one away off the back foot out towards point.
You can have a look at that Notts side. Oh, it's touch-screen laptop, Fletch.
Yeah.
Wow-wee.
It's the BBC's. So
Fair
Joe Clark, Freddie McCann, Sam King, Jack Haynes, Tom Moores, who is lucky to be in the side, of course. Lyndon James, Liam Patterson, Mike Calvin Harris, Luke Fletcher, Ollie Stone, and Fazal Haq Faruqi. So it's not that bad, actually. I just happened to pick up, when they were batting, the two batters who I'd never heard of. 38 for 2, Derbyshire. Potts bowls, Madsen cuts. That'll be 4. No, it won't be 4.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, it was close to being 4. He's come back for a second.
An unbelievable bit of fielding from Paul Coughlin. He is lightning in the field.
He had a little go at Notts, didn't he, when they were signing up everybody? Yeah.
All the young lads who are doing well.
Yeah, all the young lads doing well. And
Yeah.
then
I think he struggled a lot with injury at Notts and it didn't really work out for him.
virtually destroyed him, of course, but he's back out the other side now, back playing for his original county. 40 for 2, Derbyshire. Madsen moves on to 4 from 3. Still in the power play, still another couple of overs. Oh, the scoreboard's gone back to normal, look.
Just had a change in the field there as well. Third man's gone backward point and third man's come up into the circle.
Coughlin bowls to Madsen, who just clips this into the leg side, and they go through for another single. Crowd's quiet.
It is, yeah. Stunned after 2 wickets. They don't know what to think. 40 runs but 2 wickets.
Yes.
Little back of the hand slow ball that from Potts.
He's got all the tricks, hasn't he? Good bowler. Why he's not in the current England side set-up, certainly, I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps he's been injured.
I think it's extracurricular activities, I think.
Oh, is it?
Off field.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll leave that there then. 41 for 2. Balls to David Lloyd. That's a good stop on the edge of the circle this time. That is a really good stop. Graham Clark diving away to his right-hand side. Keeps that one down to a single. He's sure there is another Durham bowler who's suffering under those. Bryden Carse not playing at the moment.
Oh, that's betting, isn't it?
Yeah. They did that. They announced their new sponsors a couple of days before his ban came in. We all know who their sponsors are. As Potts is in, he almost chops on their way, and Madsen just got an under edge on that one. Ball goes through to the keeper. It's the end of the over. 5 off. 42 for 2 with 2 overs of power play still to go. What do they do here then, Derbyshire? They've lost 2 wickets. We all know what happens when you lose 3 wickets in the power play. Clearly they don't want to lose any more wickets, but do they still continue to go hard and get up beyond 60 in the power play and then build from there?
I think they won't be as ultra aggressive as they were in the first 3 overs. I think that over showed there that they're just still being positive and looking to score runs and hit the boundaries, but without maximising risk as much as possible. If they can get 55, 60 in this power play, that's a good start for 2. That's a brilliant shot.
What a shot that is from David Lloyd. On the back foot, forcing it square on the offside for 4 runs. There is a fielder on the edge of the circle there. Dived away to his left-hand side. Stood no chance. Absolutely no chance. He picks up a boundary. Moves to 19. Derbyshire 46 for 2.
And I think that shot sums up exactly what I was just saying there in terms of how they're going to approach the next 2 overs. Still going to be positive. Look to hit the ball hard. Look to hit the boundary option, but with as little risk as possible, hitting that along the floor without forcing it.
Coughlin in again. Lloyd goes for the heave, and it comes off
Maybe
an
not.
inside edge. Rolls out, dribbles out towards the square leg umpire Hassan Adnan, former Derbyshire man, of course. And they go through for a single, 47 for 2.
Yeah, he wanted a piece of that, didn't he, David Lloyd? He's looking to hit that over our heads, over the media centre, I think, Fletch.
Only one person's ever done that in a Derbyshire kit.
Who is it? I know who it is.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yours.
Yeah, Alex Hughes.
Alex Hughes. In goes Coghlan.
Oh, what a shot that is,
marvellous
Wayne
from Wayne
Madsen.
Madsen. That's gone for 6. That is one of Wayne Madsen's favourite shots. That and a little ramp, and they've stopped bowling short to him, which cuts out the ramp. This was a little bit short of a length, and it was guided off an edge, but perfectly safely down towards third man for 6. Madsen moves to 11. The 50's up for Derbyshire, 53 for 2.
I think you're doing him a disservice there, Fletch, off the edge.
Wasn't
I think
an
that's
edge.
come straight off the middle. It's exactly where he wanted to hit it. He just almost chops down on it and just helps it over short third man for 6. It is a phenomenal shot.
No, you're right. I've just seen
And
the
it's
ring.
not a shot that anyone else in world cricket plays. I've seen him do it a few times. It is an absolutely incredible shot.
My replay's not good enough for you.
I didn't realise you had it, mate. Sorry.
No, you've made your intentions perfectly clear. He goes Coghlan to bowl to Madsen, who guides this over third man just about and down to the boundary for 4.
I think
That was edge.
That one was
That
off
was
an
an
edge.
edge.
Yeah, that wasn't
Yeah,
quite off
that
the
was
middle of
an
the bat
edge.
from Wayne Madsen. A little bit of a thick edge, but he's over the top of third man again for 4. Paul Coghlan's having a tough start tonight. He's gone for 28 or 32 off 10 balls.
Yeah, he's having a shocker, which will no doubt mean that he'll bowl Wayne Madsen next delivery. So.
Well, no, Fletch, because every game you tell me
No,
there's
there
no
isn't.
such thing as
There
a
is no.
curse.
No, there is no such
so
thing.
you've just,
No,
you've
I've
just gone
jinxed-
against yourself.
jinxed the
Everything you've
jinx.
ever said.
Jinx the jinx. Here's Coghlan bowls to Madsen, who guides this out into the offside for a single. Gets off strike, which is just as well for me. And moves on to 16, 58 for 2, with 1 ball of the 5th over still to come. Good start by Derbyshire. Knots 46 for 1 after 5 overs now. So going pretty well against Yorkshire up at Headingley. Birmingham 45 without loss in the 5th over against Leicestershire at Edgbaston. Here comes Coghlan. Final ball of his second over. Bowls to David Lloyd, who's caught behind. He just tried to guide that down towards fine third man, and basically it was catching practice for Ollie Robinson. So the final ball of the 5th over brings a wicket, and Derbyshire are 58 for 3 now after 5.
Yeah, David Lloyd's furious with himself there as he's walking off. He's just punched his bat. He was just looking to run that down and try and beat short third man for an easy boundary, but it looked like it just bounced a little bit more than he expected and just feathered an edge through to the keeper for a simple catch. And Wayne Madsen now is joined by Brooke Guest, who didn't play last night, but he's back in today.
Not
and
wanted
batting at
last
5.
night. Not wanted last night at all. Interesting that he's coming ahead of Samet in the power play. Yeah, end of 5 overs, so 1 more over of power play to go. 58 for 3, 16 runs off that over. So Paul Coghlan's figures 2 overs, 1 for 33, which a little bit more expensive than he would have hoped for, I fancy. Matty Potts is going to bowl the final over of the power play from the City end. At least I think it's Matty Potts. His number certainly begins with a 3.
I'm not sure Brooke Guest has ever batted in a power play before either.
I'd be surprised if he had.
I don't think he
I'd be
has.
surprised if he had.
Interesting approach to send him in this early.
Well, Wayne Madsen in recent seasons hasn't been batting in power plays. That one makes it look like it kept a bit low. I'm not sure that it did. I'm just not sure that he either went forward or back and just jammed the bat down on that one. It pushed it into the offside.
I think the last few years especially, they've had the theory with Wayne that they almost don't want to waste him in a power play.
Yes.
Because he's so good outside of the power play, especially against spin in the middle overs with all his shots and tricks. He can hit it anywhere. They think he's so good he's more use in the middle overs when there's men out. You can still find the boundary.
Potts ball's a wide-ish delivery, but it was inside the blue
They
guideline.
used to have a thing, well, this was last year when I was playing. I would start at 3 and Wayne would start at 4, but if we didn't lose a wicket in the first 4 overs, Wayne would go in at 3.
Right.
If we lost a wicket in the first 4 overs, I would go in. So they want to try and keep him away from the power play as much as possible because he's so valuable outside of it.
Potts bowls, and that one is driven into the ground and back towards Potts, sticks up a left hand and just parries it, so no run off that one. So did you bat a lot then? At 3?
I did. I've had a few games at 3, yeah. But it's a difficult one because you never really know when you go in. Then it gets to like 3.4, 3.5, and it's like, oh, if we lose a wicket now, do I go in or not? And it's just no one really knows what they're doing. It gets a little bit nervy when it gets close to it. You think, I might not be in now, and then you lose a wicket and you're in. And
Potts bowls, that's crashed away into the offside square. Coghlan is running around and gets there, fields it brilliantly, sliding around the boundary. They come back for 2. Yeah, when you're there, not wondering whether you go. They say nurses have it tough, don't they? But number 3 and number 4 batters, it's a different world. It's a different world.
I always used to prefer opening anyway. I batted pretty much everywhere in this Derbyshire side, but especially in the T20, up top's the place to be.
Well, that's what they say. The opportunities are there, aren't they? I mean, obviously, if you try and manoeuvre it, occasionally you can play it straight into the keeper's hands, unfortunately. Coghlan with 2 balls of the power play to come. Bowls, and that one is crashed away by Madsen for 4. Out towards the cover boundary. There is a man on the edge of the circle at cover, but he was never going to get anywhere near that one.
Yeah, it looked like a slower ball again from Potts, but it was wide, it was full, and Wayne Madsen's really let his hands go on that. He's flashed it through covers, and like you said, fielders in the ring had absolutely no chance. He's hit that so hard.
I'll be fairly certain it means that Brooke Guest isn't going to face a delivery in the power play, which is interesting, isn't it? So he has been out there in the power play, but he hasn't faced a delivery because he came on the final ball of the last over. And Wayne Madsen's going to face the final ball of the power play. There was a good Yorker from Potts, and Madsen digs it out, just about digs it out, plays it back to him. I think he's hit his foot with his bat.
Yeah, or he's hit the ball onto his leg or something.
64 for 3 at the end of the power play, so 6 runs off that. The second best over. Matty Potts has bowled nicely, 2 overs for 10. 2 overs, 1 for 31 to Paul Coghlan and Callum Parkinson. 2 overs, 2 for 20. And now the spinners will come on. Looks like Nathan Souter, is it?
It is, yeah. It's an interesting move to send Brooke Guest out at 5, I think, especially after the intent that the top 3 have shown for Derbyshire, coming out and being ultra aggressive. I think they've generally used to send Guesty out more to try and run it round and hit the gaps and run your 2s. So it's not quite as a positive, aggressive move as we've seen from Derbyshire and how Samit wants them to play. I think Brooke generally tends to take his time to get going, look to hit the gaps and run hard.
He's going to face his first delivery of the evening. Nathan Souter bowls to him and he gets a leading edge out into the offside as he tried to turn it into leg. And there is no run. Brooke Guest this season, this is his 12th match. Of course, there was one abandonment. He didn't play last night. He's got 177 runs at 29.5, but a strike rate of just 109.9 as that gets slightly worse as he's now faced 2 dot balls. Jimmy Drew's next door, looking concerned. Head of commercial here at Derbyshire. Something like that anyway, I don't know his official title. Guest pulls this one around the corner. He's going to get off the mark with a single out towards deep backward square leg. It'll bring Wayne Madsen on to strike 2. Nathan Souter moved up from Middlesex. He was a Middlesex Aussie, isn't he? He's Australian born and turned down a gig in the Big Bash a couple of years ago because he wanted to qualify for England. I wonder what he thinks about that now. I think he's some distance away from the England squad at the moment. And not in the Big Bash either. But you make these decisions, and I suppose you've got to live with them. He's in again now on balls. That one is launched in the air. Wayne Madsen's going to be caught here. The fielder is running in from the boundary, settles himself and takes the catch, and Madsen's gone. Nathan Souter strikes in the first over outside the power play. Madsen goes for 22, and Derbyshire is 65 for 4. This is not looking good.
Yeah, that's a massive, massive loss for Derbyshire to lose Wayne Madsen. We spoke about how valuable he is outside of the power play against the spinners. He can hit it anywhere, all his shots. He's got so much skill, and he's just got out. He's trying to hit it straight down the ground and just completely mistimed it. Long offs come running in a long way off the boundary and took what was a comfortable catch. But that is a massive, massive blow for Derbyshire. You've got 2 new batsmen in. Samit Patel joins Brooke Guest. Derbyshire 65 for 4. They got off to a fast start, but they've been losing wickets, and they've got some rebuilding to do now.
Samit is the new batsman. Samit Patel comes out to join Brooke Guest, so Guest can have a slightly more relaxing time. There'll be no 2s with Samit out there, not on Samit's watch, certainly. No, don't turn them all off, would he? You leave that one. No, that's the effects from outside. turned into a producer now as well. We want to producer's money next. 65.
Mr. Producer.
Who is the producer?
Mr. Producer.
Mr. Is that a song? Is that a modern one?
Oh, they've got 5 men in the ring. Mid-off is up.
Yes.
Don't see this very often in T20 cricket.
Souter bowls, back into his crease goes. Samit pushes it out into the onside, no run. 65 for 4 it remains. It's almost pointless looking at scores elsewhere at the moment because Derbyshire are in a hole here. As Souter bowls and Samit pushes this one out into the offside. There is no run. It was the end of his first over. He's conceded just 1 run from it and taken the wicket away in Madsen. End of 7, 65 for 4. That is some over. First over outside the power play from Nathan Souter. Oh no, it's Ben Rain. He is so infuriated. Ben Rain is basically Durham's equivalent of Stephen Mullaney. He's a bit quicker than Mullaney, but he just gives nothing away, does he? He's got all sorts of horrible variations and slower balls, and it just drives you mad. What a player he is.
Well, he's useful batter as well, Ben.
Yes.
He strikes a very clean ball. It's useful to have coming in down 7 or 8, or wherever he's due to come in. 7. A lot, like Fletch said, a lot of pace off. I think the variation will be the pace on ball.
His first delivery is going to be to Brooke Guest, who's got 1 from 3, 65 for 4 Derbyshire as he bowls, and it's pushed up towards mid-off. They're coming through for a quick single. I'm not sure Samit was ready for that, but he got his foot down and raced through for the single. The ball wasn't picked up cleanly in any case by mid-off. 66 for 4. BBC Radio Derby on AM, DAB and online via the BBC Sport website in this potentially winner-takes-all contest at the county ground. After last night's thrilling last ball victory over Worcestershire, Derbyshire kept their hopes alive, and within 7 overs they haven't quite disappeared, but they're hanging by a thread as Rain is in and bowls to Samit. Goes straight through him. I have no idea. He's got an inside edge clearly, but I have no idea how that hasn't hit the stumps. And it hasn't hit the stumps, fortunately, and it's gone down to fine leg for 4 runs. Callum Parkinson couldn't get round in time to effect the stop. Samit picks up his first boundary, his first runs. Derbyshire 70 for 4. Dear, oh dear.
Yeah, that would have been a massive like that. If that would have gone onto the stumps, 66 for 5 would have been disastrous for Derbyshire, but luckily enough, it's gone for 4, and they all count.
Turns this next delivery up towards long on, who has to come in a long way from the boundary at the city end in front of the permanent temporary stand. And the Derby County flag. Good to see the Derby County flag here. I haven't seen the Barbados one all season. I'm sure it's around somewhere. There is no Durham flag on the flagpole to the right of the members' pavilion. The Derbyshire flag is hanging limply on the left-hand side of the pavilion. Barely a breath of wind out there. It must still be very warm as rainbow. That's a slower ball. Back of the hand, I reckon.
Spot on,
Thank you
Fletch.
very much.
Spot on.
Pushed by Brooke Guest up to mid-off. I'm getting there, Woody.
Picking them all
it's
up now.
just a shame this is the last match, potentially. Because I'll have to.
Always next year, Fletch.
Well, I'll have to learn it all again next year.
You'll have forgot it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll have forgotten it by the time I get home tonight. 71 for 4 it remains. I'll have had my eyes tested again, though, by this time next year.
You're still blind.
Well, that one is guided nicely by Brooke Guest down towards wide third man. They're going to come back for the second. Guest is running. Well, he isn't running towards the danger, and they know which end to throw it to. Durham, to the end to which Samit Patel is running. They pick up 2 runs. 73 for 4. Guest 4 from 6. The ever reliable Nottinghamshire 72 for 1 at the start of the 9th over against Yorkshire at Headingley. Interesting. Birmingham 74 without loss after 6 overs and 4 balls against Leicestershire at Edgbaston. And in comes Rain. That one's pushed up towards mid-off by Brooke Guest. And it's the end of the over. 73 for 4. 8 gone, 8 off the over. Scattered last time. The concern I've got now is that in the first, 3rd, 5th and 7th overs, wickets fell from the racecourse end. Who's going to bowl over number 9? It'd be surprised if it wasn't Nathan Souter. Yeah, absolutely. You'd expect so, wouldn't you? I don't know who's in the Freddie the Falcon costume tonight, but my word, you don't envy him that, do you?
It's hot. It'll be hot under there.
Just
Jeez.
imagine being in that.
Gee whiz.
Absolutely. I mean, it's warm in there at the worst of times, and he's not allowed to use a gun anymore to fire it into the crowd, which is health and safety gone mad, of course.
Scatterblast has sort of lost its
Just sort of
blast.
passing T-shirts to members of the crowd. Nathan Souter then 2, Samit Patel who's on 5, 73 for 4 Derbyshire after 8 overs. And Souter is in, Samit goes back into his crease and pushes it out into the offside. And there is no run. I'm just trying to work out what happens, and Chris will be all over this, I'm sure. If Leicestershire lose, Derbyshire lose, Durham don't win by sufficient, and Yorkshire lose, I think Leicestershire go through by default. Is that right,
Best
Chris?
loser.
As the, I'm not sure.
Durham would win.
Well, Durham would have to beat Derbyshire. Would they overtake Leicestershire?
Lose, they stay on 14. Durham would go to 15.
Ah, there we go. So that's answered that. I'm talking absolute nonsense. Not for the first time. Samit has tried to launch that into next week, and he's managed to miss-hit it up towards Paul Coughlin at long on
It's a tie.
for a single tie. Oh. Yes, because nobody's net run rate would change, of course. It is a bit of a night. Jonathan Baker's in the ground. Hope to see him at half-time. That was exactly the kind of message I'd have expected from Jono. Work colleague, glass half empty, as that one is driven into the offside by Brooke Guest. Misfielded. Misfielded is the right. That's Alex Lees, isn't it?
It
Enormous figure of Alex Lees, who is some cricketer. Halifax born. Alex Lees. I'm not sure how he's not in the England conversation either. They said he didn't bat quick enough, and then last season he was batting like a demon, and has continued this season, but still is nowhere near the conversation. That one is clipped by Samit up towards a very straight long on, and that they trot through for another single. Samit moves to 7, 76 for 4.
I think that's probably testament to how well Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett have played up top, I think.
Yeah. No, it is tricky to try and fit him in, I grant you, but it never seems to be in the conversation anymore. He probably has been in the past. Souter past the umpire, bowls, and that is driven very pleasantly in a very Brooke Guest kind of way up towards long off, and they go through for another single. Guest moves on to 6. Samit has 7. 4 runs off the Nathan Souter over. 77 for 4 at the end of 9. Souter now has the figures of 2 overs, 1 for 5, which aren't bad figures when you think about it.
Brilliant start.
Is this Eminem? No. Who's this?
Not sure.
Dreadful, whatever.
Terrible at names.
Dreadful. Paul Coughlin returns. 2 overs, 1 for 33.
Could do with another one of his overs then.
Yes, couldn't we just?
Little 15, 16. Get us going again.
Did manage to get the wicket of David Lloyd at the end of the 5th over as he basically feathered one through to Ollie Robinson. The real Ollie Robinson behind the stumps. He crouches down and Coughlin's on his way in from the city end, bowling to Brooke Guest, and Guest drives and might get 4 runs for this. Yes, he does. It's been missed by the dive of backward point and has gone all the way to the boundary for 4, and poor old Paul Coughlin's evening continues to be disappointing from a Durham perspective, but very profitable from a Derbyshire one.
It does, and all his runs seem to be conceded behind point on the offside, which shows he's probably bowling either a little bit wide, well, definitely a little bit wide and a little bit too short. 4 or 5 of his boundaries have come down there now.
Guest moves on to a runner ball 10. Coughlin bowls to him and he just guides that out into the offside. Samit gets on his bike and they go through for the single fairly comfortably. It's always good to see Samit moving through the gears. He's only got 2.
Hope to see him move through his batting gears and start smacking a few as well.
No, absolutely.
In a few overs' time. Can afford to just play himself in here and try and build a platform with Brooke Guest for a couple of overs at least, and then get back to being aggressive and positive, looking for the boundary options.
It's Coghlan then. 2 balls of his 3rd over already in the books, and Samet has lifted this into the leg side. He's got away with this one because it's bounced short of the man coming around from square leg. He's only got a single. Coughlan's got his hands on his head, and well he might. If he'd have caught hold of that properly, it would have gone straight down the throat of square leg, and that would have been the end of Samet Patel.
Yeah, it's a good job he didn't get hold of that properly.
No.
Like you said, Fletch, it just looks like he's trying to go over that man there, but he's got none of it. And that is one of his weaknesses as a batter, is the short balls. Teams often use that tactic against him. That's a wide down the leg side from Paul Coghlan. Slower ball, I think.
I'm going to take a rest. You carry on.
Get yourself a drink, Fletch. Put your feet up.
I was just answering some correspondence. Yes, he has been. Just the impression you get is that if you bang it in short to Samet, he does like to take it on. It's almost, you're not going to frighten me with a short delivery. This one's he's been feathered it behind Brooke Guest. I thought it was a play and a miss. Coghlan picks up his 2nd wicket. And now Brooke Guest has gone. Guest out for 11, and Derbyshire are 84 for 5 and in danger of repeating what they did last season against Worcestershire, really, and fluffing their lines on the big day.
Yeah, it's unfortunate from Brooke Guest to get a feather on that. It wasn't the best ball again from Coghlan, a little bit short and a little bit wide. Maybe just a little bit of extra bounce, but it's another soft wicket for Derbyshire to lose at 84 for 5, and this is where you start to look at what's to come. With no Zach Chappell in the lineup, only Alex Thompson to come, who can offer any sort of resistance with the bat. So a lot now rests on these 2 very experienced players, Samet Patel, who's joined out in the middle by Ross Whiteley. These 2 are going to have to bat a large majority of these overs if Derbyshire are going to have a chance of getting through to a quarter-final here.
How difficult is it, Woody, when you've won a game for your side the previous night? You're obviously full of confidence. The adrenaline would have been flowing last night. It certainly seemed to be when I interviewed him, Ross Whiteley. But then to come out and repeat that, a lot of expectation on his shoulders because he did win the game effectively last night. I know Alex Thompson helped him and 1 or 2 others chipped in as well, and Pat Brown bowled beautifully. But ultimately it was Ross Whiteley right towards the end of that innings down at New Road who won the game. So it's tricky for him, isn't it? It's tricky. And before that he'd been scratching around a bit.
It is tricky, yeah. Coming in now at 84 for 5, big game, almost a mini quarter-final. There's a lot of pressure on him. But I think the fact that he did get a few runs yesterday, it's better to come in having got a few runs yesterday than having coming in and not having any runs behind him.
He's been dropped first ball at slip. He just fenced at that one outside the off stump. It was an indeterminate sort of shot, really. And, well, they've just dropped Ross Whiteley, who won the game for Derbyshire last night of Durham. They will be hugely disappointed, none more so than Paul Coghlan, who could have had 2 in 2.
Yeah, that was nearly perfect bit of captaincy there from Alex Lees. He put a slip in. It's very rare you'll see a slip in the 10th over of a T20 game, but he put one in there and he found the edge first ball. Like Fletch said, it was just a tentative prod outside off stump, and it's a simple catch as they come at slip for Ashton Turner, who's put it down.
Samet plays the short ball by pulling it a long way in front of square out into the leg side, obviously. And the over comes to an end with Samet moving on to 9. 86 for 5 at the halfway stage. Derbyshire, they'll want more than 190. They'll do well to get 199 off that one. They would have been... I just asked somebody, I'm sure...
You're off 180 right
yes,
now.
I think so.
Alone 190.
Joe Shakic, who I'm hoping joins me in the studio on Monday to pick over the bones of Derbyshire's T20 group campaign. I asked him how he was feeling. He sent me a photograph of where he was in the ground. One of his parties apprehensive, another one's disappointed, and he's feeling nervous. But as he says, the other game's going Derbyshire's way. We need to do better, and he's not wrong. Nathan Souter to bowl from the racecourse end, clipped into the leg side by Samet for a single. 87 for 5. It would be very, very Derbyshire indeed if they were to blow this with results elsewhere going their way, which it's always difficult to tell in any game of cricket who's winning. It's my least favourite question when a little kid walks up to you and says, who's winning? Who's winning? I've no idea.
I'll tell you in 3 hours.
Yeah, why don't you know? So, well, it's difficult to tell, but Notts are 105 for 2 after 11.
Those two lads must have done well.
Yeah,
We've never heard of.
I've never heard of either of them. Birmingham are 108 for 1, approaching the end of the 10th over against Leicestershire. Oh, Glamorgan going great guns. That one is turned into the leg side by Ross Whiteley.
Glamorgan 123 for none off 10.2. Kieran Carlson 88 off 39 balls.
Who knew we had a Glamorgan supporter in the commentary box? Who knew? There were two people not massively interested in the Euros final at the weekend. One was Welsh and the other one was me. That one's turned into the leg side by Samit Patel, 89 for 5. I did watch it.
I'm still not impressed with your lack of interest in that, Fletch.
International cricket, Woody, it does nothing for me.
What about international football?
Football. International cricket.
Lack of patriotism.
No, I'm not a big fan of patriotism either. Souter in and bowls, and Ross Whiteley turns this into the leg side for a single. I wouldn't mind at all if these two took 6 and over for the next 4 or 5 overs, if I'm honest, and then sort of launched a bit later on.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Fletch. Maybe a little bit more if they can, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Try and get
no risks.
Yeah, if they can stay in and be there in the last 5, and these two experienced players can both hit a big ball and hopefully catch up at the end. But it is a little bit of a tough one. Do you stick? Do you twist? Do you keep being positive and try and take the game on and get up to a big score? Or do you play it safe and hedge your bets and try and get up to what is hopefully a par score maybe at best if these two just knock it around for 4 or 5 overs? It's often the big discussion with the way cricket is played at the minute to always take the positive approach to try and do what it takes to win the game.
Whiteley drives the ball down the ground for a single. He moves on to 4. Patel has 12, 92 for 5.
Yeah, it's be interesting to see how they go. I think they can definitely knock it around for a couple more overs. They can knock it around, try and get 6, at least 6 and over for the next couple without losing wickets. But then you might start to see a few more risks being taken. But like we spoke about before, there is ways and means of managing innings, even in T20 cricket, when you only have 20 overs, 120 balls. If you've just smashed 2 boundaries, you don't necessarily have to go for another boundary the next ball and take a massive risk.
Yeah,
you can take your 1, you've won the over, go into the next over and go again. You can manage the risk as much as you possibly can. And that slip is back in now.
Yes.
I think it's Potts coming from the City end to Ross Whiteley. Ashton Turner's back in there at slip. He'll be hoping for another go at it.
Potts is in, and that one is driven slightly unconvincingly by Ross Whiteley out into the offside. Samit was only going to run 1 there. Absolutely all day long there was 2 there, but Samit says, no, we'll just have the 1, thank you. And 1 is all they get. 93 for 5 now. It's so infuriating that all the scores elsewhere, the 2 that really matter, Birmingham 118 for 1 after 11, Nottinghamshire 125 for 2 after 12. There have been times when they've been bowled out for a third of that this season. As it comes, Potts again, short delivery. Samit's taken him on, he's got 6. Out towards a third man into the VIP area, if that's what it is, away to our right. Thank you. I was a VIP, I'd want more than a metal seat in the tent. But Samit moves on to 18. 99 for 5 now, Derbyshire.
We've seen that shot a few times this evening. It's short and wide, and people just throwing the kitchen sink at that and getting it over third man for 6. I think it just shows that Durham have probably been a bit too much on the short side and a bit too much width at times.
Potts is in again. Samit's taken on. He's going to be caught in the deep. He's not been caught in the deep. I'm not sure whether it carried fully. If it did, it's been put down, and Samit gets a single. What do you reckon? Has that gone all the way, or has Samit Patel survived?
I think he's got very lucky that he's hit it out to that side. I think because the sun is so low on that opposite side, I think it's Nathan Souter out there. He's really struggled.
I think
he struggled to pick it up. He didn't look comfortable as it was approaching him. He didn't look convinced, and I don't know whether he just got there in the end. He was never really in a position to catch it.
Playing a miss from Ross Whiteley outside the off stump. I think he probably just about got there, which is, there we go, here we are. Here's the replay of that.
Short ball to Samit Patel again.
Would have been a good catch. Would have been a good catch.
Would have been a good catch. I think if the sun wasn't,
Yes.
if he was on the opposite side, he would have ended up taking it more comfortably because he would have judged it better. He would have been able to get closer to it without having to dive forward. So I think the sun has just saved Samit Patel there, but he needs to find a better way of playing that short ball.
He does.
He's just swatting at it and hitting it up. At least hit it down. If you're going to take it on, which you have to take it on in T20 cricket, you have to try and get it down. Don't just wildly swing at it up in the air and risk getting out. It's a big boundary out there. Derbyshire 100 for 5. You're the captain of the team. It's a massive game. You've got to try and take a bit more responsibility and see the team deep into this innings and not just have a big waft at one out to a long boundary at a ball that is not your strength. You can manage the risk a little bit better than that for me, Samit.
Ross Whiteley's moved on to 6 from 7 with a single out into the leg side. 101 for 5. Pots in again, bowls to Samit. Short delivery, tries to pull it into the leg side and says no to a single as Ollie Robinson gets around from behind the stumps to do the fielding. End of the over. 9 from it in the end. 101 for 5 Derbyshire with 8 overs remaining in their innings. If they can get to 180, I'd be a lot happier.
Snap your hand off for 180 right now, and you can see why teams do employ the short ball. Like Samit Patel, he does not look comfortable at it at all, and it makes something happen. It's always a chance of a wicket because he's going to take it on, and he's not comfortable doing it. And there's men sat out there waiting for it.
It's the side of the ground that eventually forces Nathan Souter will bowl his 4th and final over from the racecourse, and the sun is at that position as this crashed into the onside, into the gap for 4 runs from Ross Whiteley. Good start to the over. Always good to get a good start to an over. Now they don't need to take any risks for the remainder of the over to pick up 9 off this one. 1 for 15 now, Nathan Souter. As I said, the sun as it sets in the west, which is generally where it sets, is the reason that the square was turned around. We'd have been off the field by now. Sun would have stopped play. He's defended this next delivery as Ross Whiteley back to Nathan Souter, who picks up and jogs back to his mark.
And this is an over where you can manage the risk. Souter's been the best bowler on show. You've got a boundary off the first ball. No need to do anything silly. Just get rid of him without him taking any more wickets. Like Fletch said, you can take him for 8 or 9 off this over now without taking any risks at all.
He's just picked up a single there out to cover boundary. Ross Whiteley moves to 11 from 10. Samit's got 19 from 16. 106 for 5, turned into the leg side by Samit. Souter taking it off the stumps, presumably, because Souter had his arms up, and you could just about hear him cry in anguish. But Samit moves to 20, 107 for 5. 2 balls of the 13th over remain in Derbyshire's innings. Souter bowls. Whiteley clips this nicely into the leg side. He's probably got too much of that, really. Goes straight out to the man on the straight mid-wicket boundary, and they get through for another single. 108 for 5, so 7 off the over already. Another 1, 8, that'll do nicely, and then move on. Is that the way?
The fielders in the ring aren't even trying to save a 1. They're on the edge. There's a 1 everywhere.
Struck the pad. Big appeal he's given him. Samit has gone. Nathan Souter strikes with the final ball that he bowls in the match. And Samit Patel goes for 20, and it gets worse and worse for Derbyshire. 18 deliveries he faced, 1 4 and 1 6. And Derbyshire, well, they're now 108 for 6.
Yeah, just as we spoke about at the start of the over, to try and get out of this over, manage the risk, manage the over. Samit's just played all around a straight one, trying to force it into the leg side against the spin, and he's missed it. Hit him straight on the shin in front of all 3. And David Mills had no choice but to give him out there. It's a massive wicket for Derbyshire. The captain, Samit Patel, experienced player, he's gone. And Derbyshire 108 for 6 now. Alex Thompson joins Ross Whiteley, the 2 heroes from last night at Worcestershire. They need to do it again for Derbyshire here tonight if they're going to have any chance of progressing to a quarter-final.
Came together last night at 115 for 5 in the 6th over, 113 for 5 in the 16th over, not the 6th over. I beg your pardon. We're in the 13th over now. They need to bat through to the end as they did last night.
Be all
that
right.
would be ideal,
What's that?
wouldn't
55-run partnership? Snap your hand off for that.
First ball of the new over being bowled by Ben Rain from the City end is pulled into the leg side by Ross Whiteley, and they go through for a single, 109 for 6. Yeah, it was a record partnership for Derbyshire for the 6th wicket against Worcestershire on a Thursday. Batting second.
On a Thursday.
I think Griff's got those particular stats somewhere up his sleeve.
A stat man.
He certainly is. He was giving me some stats about quarterfinals against Surrey. We might not need them, as Thompson just pushes this first ball that he faces from Ben Rain backward a square on the offside. Of course, now not having Zach Chappell really focuses the mind with Darren Dupavillon, Pat Brown and Mohammed Amir, the remaining batters.
Yes, there's not many runs in them three, I'm afraid.
No, there's none in Pat Brown.
It's going to have to be these two if Derbyshire have any chance.
Thompson waits. Ben Rain bowls to him. He just about gets his bat down on that one. Clips it away into the leg side for a single. 110 for 6. Clearly not going to be enough. This kind of score to get Derbyshire over the line. Notts are now 144 for 3 in the 14th over. Birmingham 121 for 2 in the 13th over. So those scores definitely going, it would appear, Derbyshire's way low. You can never tell till both sides are batted, of course. Ben Rain around the wicket, bowls to Whiteley, who's caught behind. No. Got a little feather on that one. Nicely taken by Ollie Robinson. And Derbyshire's hopes of reaching the quarter-final are pretty much done and dusted, I would say, even at this early stage. We're inside the 14th over. Whiteley goes for 13. They're 110 for 7.
Yeah, that's a devastating blow for Derbyshire fans. All hope rested on Ross Whiteley's shoulders there, I think. He had to see him through these last 7 overs and have a special night out and get him up to a competitive score. He's not been able to repeat his heroics from last night. He's gone. Derbyshire 110 for 7 off only 13.4 overs. And they're really staring down the barrel here. They're going to have to do something extraordinary in the second innings to have any chance of progressing through this competition.
I'm going to say here and now that the next batter isn't going to hang around. It's Mohammed Amir, who coming in at 9 is probably too high. I think that Darren Dupavillon coming in at 10 is 1 too high, and Pat Brown coming in at 11 is probably a couple too high as well.
Did see him practicing his batting earlier in the warm-up.
He was
smacking balls into a net from a standstill off the floor.
There he comes then, and he drives out into the offside. He's going to get runs here. He's going to get 2 because Alex Thompson will come back for the second, so he's off the mark with a couple. Is Mohammed Amir. I said that he hasn't won Derbyshire a game yet in his what's turned into a 5-game spell because of the abandonment of the game against Lancashire. Would it be ironic if he won a game for them with the bat? 112 for 7, because it's not really what he's been brought here to do. He waits, quite an open stance, and drives past Ben Rain and up towards mid-off, and there's no run. That's the final ball of the Ben Rain over, 1 for 12. His figures, 112 for 7, 4 runs off the over. And just looking at Nathan Souter's figures, 4 overs, 2 for 18. When you add those to Callum Parkinson's 2 overs, 2 for 20, so that's 6 overs, 4 for 38 from the 2 spinners, and Callum Parkinson is now back from the racecourse end to bowl his 3rd over.
Yeah, good time for Parky to come on now. Can squeeze these 2 new batters. I think Mohammed Amir will take his chances against Callum Parkinson, I'm sure. It'll be interesting to see how Alex Thompson plays. He's knocked that down the ground to long on for 1.
First ball of the over then, so he's up and running with his 2nd run of 3 deliveries, 113 for 7. Mohammed Amir is not going to be able to resist trying to smash Callum Parkinson into next week.
Fingers crossed he has a miracle night out and he does it a few times.
Wow. Let's look at what his best figures are in batting.
There we go, where it is. That was a big wind-up.
Heaved it from probably a foot outside off stump into the leg side for a single. His T20 record with the bat. Let's have a look. Still got Ross Whiteley on here, so I'll have to wait just for a moment or two, but that'll soon change. Here comes Parkinson again, in and bowls to Thompson. That comes off a pad into the leg side, and there is no run. Cricinfo appears to have stopped working, which is not good news for me. Thompson waits, Parkinson bowls to him, and he pushes this gently up towards long on for a single. Moves on to 3, 115 for 7. There we go. Mohamed Amir, I can now click on him and exclusively reveal that in T20 cricket, you've got to go down quite a long way to get past all his various club sides. As he pushes this one out, that's a nice shot, that out towards the cover boundary for a single. 1 ball left of the Parkinson over, 116 for 7 in T20s with the bat. Right, he's had 99 innings. He's got 380 runs with a high score of 23. Thompson pushes this one up to long on. That doesn't fill me with any kind of confidence. Not that shot, the Mohamed Amir record.
Slap your hand off for his high score of 23 right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Great time for it.
Off that over.
I can't imagine he's had much longer to bat than this as well. 7 overs.
No, there is that. Yes, there is that. Yeah, no question. He's hit in his T20 career 32 fours and 10 sixes.
Doing a few of them tonight, I tell you.
That doesn't include T20 internationals, in which he's got a high score of 21 not out with 3 fours and 3 sixes. He's very much known for his bowling. Paul Coghlan is back from the City end. 5 overs to go. They've got to bat them all. 117 for 7. Derbyshire. Coghlan's on his way in to bowl to Alex Thompson, who pushes this one up to mid-on and rather surprises Mohamed Amir by calling him through for a single. Amir gets there in the end and claps using his hand on his bat. Alex Thompson for calling him through there. Thompson moves to 5, 118 for 7. What did I say his high score was?
23.
23. I'm going to write that down. There we go. That's how confident I am in Mohamed Amir. Wears 5 on his back, which is unusual. There'll be a story behind it, I'm sure. 118 for 7. Coghlan bowls a short delivery and he just turns it nicely into the leg side for another single. Moves on to a runner ball 5, 119 for 7 with just 4 overs and 4 balls of the innings left. 28 deliveries by my rudimentary maths. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah, thank you. Should see me doing maths in championship matches. It's hopeless. Coghlan in, bowls to Thompson, who's lifted this into the leg side. He might get away with it, he might not. There are 2 fielders converging on it. Neither of them get there, and it might roll all the way to the boundary. It's not going to. It sort of plugs and a bit of backspin on it as well, and they come back for 2. It's not an easy place to field out there. We've seen it's bumpy as well as...
Well, there's a few bold patches over there now from the concerts that they've had recently. That does not help. I know from personal experience that is a very difficult spot to field, especially when it's sunny like this. You can't see a thing.
121 for 7. Oh, he's trying to heave this into the leg side. And Mohamed Amir quite correctly, I think, sends Alex Thompson back into his crease. And it remains 121 for 7. Yeah, D block Europe.
D block Europe, Fletch, yeah. Right up your street then, boys, I reckon.
I want to say H block.
Were you front and centre for that?
No, I wasn't here.
I think you'd really enjoy them, Fletch.
I think we were travelling to Lords or something. Washing my hair, I don't know, I can't remember. 121 for 7.
Beard hair.
Coghlan is in, and that's 4 for Alex Thompson. Just smashes it down towards wide long on for a boundary. Gives the crowd something to cheer about. 125 for 7. Who knows, it might be a 150 pitch. It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like one. I know. I don't see it. I'm just trying to...
Ever the optimist, eh, Fletch?
That's me.
It's a lovely shot from Alex Thompson. He just used his feet and had a little skip down at Coghlan there and just flat batted him through wide mid-on for 4. We'll need a few more of them, Tomo. He's done him for 6.
Absolutely brilliant. To backward square leg. 6 runs to Alex Thompson. He had a beautiful flat 6 last night at New Road. Well, he's followed that up with another one here today. 131 for 7 at the end of the over, 14 off it, and Paul Coghlan, bless him, 4 overs, 2 for 56. So he's picked up a couple of wickets, but my word, he's supplied Derbyshire with nearly half of their runs in his 4 overs. He hasn't had the greatest of nights, and Callum Parkinson will now bowl out, 3 overs, 2 for 25 he's got.
Yeah, a tough night for Paul Coghlan. And it's a beautiful shot from Alex Thompson. He is good on that pull shot. He had a go at it earlier in the over. Didn't quite get it and it landed safely, but he got a hold of that one. Really timed it nicely and helped it on its way behind square for 6.
Parkinson into bowl to Mohamed Amir, who's launched that for 6. There's another one to add to the collection. That's gone a long way. It hasn't quite gone over the media centre, but not far off. He was reaching for it rather, but he's got some power in him.
He has, yeah. He's skipped down the wicket at him and it was wide outside off stump and he's reached for it and he's got all of it halfway up the media centre.
Parkinson bowls, he has a swing at that one. Parkinson plaintively appeals for a caught behind that he was never going to get because, again, he had to reach a long way for it and didn't get anywhere near it in the end. 137 for 7. Parkinson 2 for 31 now. His figures. He's in again and bowls, and he's driven that along the ground. A full delivery outside off stump, up towards long off, where it's fielded by Matty Potts. And they go through for a single. Alex Thompson, rather remarkably, his high score in T20 cricket is only 28. You'd think it'd be higher, wouldn't it? Strike rate, though, 144. And he digs out a Yorker, bowled by Parkinson.
It can be tough for people like this at Tomo because he generally comes in with not much time left.
Absolutely.
So you might get a quick 10 here and there. He doesn't really get much time to get more than that.
Turn that one up to long
He's
on.
got some time today.
Certainly has. He's got another 3 overs after this one. 139 for 7 with 1 ball of the 17th over to go. Thompson 18 off 13. Mohamed Amir 12 off 8. Looking at Mohamed Amir. I've gone to the wrong bit now. There we are. Mohamed Amir's strike rate is only 96 in T20 cricket. He's given himself some room and missed the ball outside the off stump. It goes through to Ollie Pope. Ollie Robinson. Ollie Pope's playing down the road. 139 for 7 after 17 overs. That means there were 8 off that one. There are 3 to go. My final blast of scores before Chris takes over at half-time and reads the scores himself. Nottinghamshire 181 for 6 now against Yorkshire. They've still got 3 overs and 1 ball to go at Headingley, and Birmingham 149 for 3 after 15 overs and 2 balls against Leicestershire. They're the games that matter. Lancashire 152 for 5 at Old Trafford against Northamptonshire, who, if they beat Lancashire, will move second in the table. Ben Rain begins a new over, bowling to Alex Thompson, who plays it straight into the ground. And Rain fields in his follow-through. 139 for 7 it remains. What do you reckon, 165 if they could get to that?
Yeah, I'd snap your hand off for it. I'm not sure if it'll be enough.
I have no hands left because you keep snapping them off.
Yeah, if I would snap both of them off for 165 right now.
Oh dear. In comes
I'm
Ben.
not sure it's going to be enough.
No.
Gives you something to bowl at, though,
exactly,
for sure.
Exactly.
A few early wickets from Mohamed Amir and De Pavlon, you never know. Pressure of a chase and a pressure of trying to get through the competition to a quarter-final. Durham will come out and play ultra positively to try and up their net run rate to give them a chance. And that in itself gives Derbyshire a chance to get more wickets. But yeah, at least they've got something to bowl at. They've got a chance.
Rain bowls and Mohamed Amir goes for a big heave up towards long off. They go through for a single. Thompson took a single off the previous delivery. 141 for 7. Well, you'll look back on the greatest night of my life when Derbyshire beat Notts here, and Darren De Pavlon took a wicket with his first delivery, didn't he?
He did. Joe Clark.
That's right. He needs to do something similar tonight to get rid of Alex Lees.
I think Mohamed Amir will have first ball, won't he, Fletch?
Yeah, that's true, actually. So, well, he can...
Oh, Tomo.
He's
Gone for a little paddle. I'm not sure about that, Tomo.
From outside, a long way outside the off stump as well. Picks up a single.
Smacked.
Thompson moves to 20 off 16, 142. Oh, it's been given as leg buys. He stays on 19, 142 for 7. What's that? no batting ball. Anyway, it matters not. Personal accolades mean nothing, Woody, do they? As you know. In comes Mohamed Amir, bowls. He gives himself room and he's bowled him. He stepped into the leg side and went for the big swing, and Mohamed Amir goes for 13. It was always going to happen at some point. You could sort of see it coming, but he's added 13 off 11 deliveries. So he's, in another world, he's probably done his job.
He has, yeah.
But
13 is a...
In this world, he hasn't, unfortunately, and Ben Rain picks up his second wicket of the evening. Derbyshire 142 for 8.
Darren Pavlon comes out to join Alex Thompson now.
The wall.
The wall. Hopefully he can add another 13. That would be brilliant if he could. Give him something to try and defend that. It's a long way off now, Fletch, I tell you.
Have them now. Just take them.
I'll be taking your arm now.
Take the hands. They're all yours. Yeah, Darren Pavlon this season hasn't had an awful lot of chance to bat. When he bats in first-class cricket, he's got a defence. There's no question about it. Pavlon got a first ball duck against Lancashire, and that's the only time he's batted this season. So this will be
look good then, Flash.
This will be the second ball he faces this season, Darren Pavlon. 142 for 8. Ben Rain is in and bowls to him, and that one is pushed out into the offside, so he doesn't get successive golden ducks. It's the end of the Ben Rain over. 3 overs, 2 for 14. 142 for 8, just 3 runs off that over, and the scores off each over are going down, which is not the way it's supposed to be in T20 cricket. But with 8 wickets down, and only Pat Brown, who's faced 3 deliveries in the blast this season and has yet to score a run.
So you're telling me it's all on Tomo?
It's pretty much all on Alex Thompson here, I would suggest, yes. I think that's fair to say. He's got a high score of 8 in 70 matches. He's got 40 T20 runs, Darren Pavlon. He's not really in the side for his runs. Strike rate of 83. He has hit 2 4s and a 6, though, in those 40 runs. I've no idea how he's managed that. I haven't seen him play a shot in anger since he arrived in the country. Interestingly, he's just replaced Mohamed Amir, who is the man who he actually replaced when Mohamed Amir changed his mind about playing international cricket. There you go. 142 for 8 then, as Matty Potts begins a new over. That's down the leg side, all runs gratefully received, and it's a wide.
Take them. We'll have them if you're giving them away.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that what you normally shout in the Derbyshire League?
So I'm not shouting anything in any leagues anymore.
Do you not? Have you given up all that?
Keep my mouth shut.
We shout from the sideline. We've got Critics' Corner at Blackrod, and there's 3 of us.
Front and centre.
Oh, all day long. Mostly abuse to our own side, it has to be said. Big game for Blackrod tomorrow. 143 for 8. In goes Potts and balls. That's down the leg side. It must have brushed his pad on the way through, though, because this time David Milnes keeps his hands firmly in his pockets, and it's a dot ball. Alex Thompson readjusts his gloves, makes sure that everything's in ship-shape fashion. And Darren Pavlon at the other end is wondering what on earth he's doing out there, quite frankly. 143 for, I'd love him to bits, but dear oh dear, he can't bat. 143 for 8. Potts is in a full toss, above waist high full toss.
No, he as well.
That will be, of course it's a no ball. What's Potts complaining about there? He has hit it, but it's still above waist height. He actually played it off the bottom edge of his bat, I think, into his body. I'm not sure why Potts is complaining. It looked above waist high to me. Didn't you think it was above waist high?
Yeah. Alex Thompson's a big man as well at 6'6".
Well, look where he's holding now. He's holding his stomach.
Let's hit him in the gut.
Oh, dear. It's a long way above his waist on the replay. Free hit then to Alex Thompson. 145 for 8. Potts in his final over. 22 runs conceded. He's bowled nicely. He's on his way in and bowls to Thompson, who's hammered it off an inside edge down to backward square leg. Oh dear. Darren Pavlon was desperate for a second there. He hasn't got one. It means he's going to have to face, I was going to say he's going to have to face 4 deliveries. I hope he doesn't have to face 4 deliveries, because that would mean they haven't scored any more runs. 146.
Unless he hits them to the boundary.
For 8. Well, yes.
Or a couple of 2s.
Yeah. In his entire career.
You can see a little nick for 4 or something.
What did I say? In his entire career, is it 2 4s and 1 6?
Do you know what that means? It means he's due another one.
He his name doesn't even fit on the old scoreboard either. I think that's a shame for players, and then when your name doesn't fit on the Dupavilo. Here comes Potts then, bowls to Dupavilon, who drives, and he says, I'll have a run here because I want to get off strike, and he's done well. He put a bit of pressure on the field there, who made a bit of a hash of it there at mid-off. That's Ashton Turner, possibly. It is a 0, the second of these numbers. Somebody just turn those numbers into dark numbers on, and you've got yourself a shirt, because I like the shirts. We'll put a little... Yeah.
Could have the back all the same colour.
Of course you could. Thompson, that's gone through everything. Well taken, moving down the leg side by Robinson behind the stumps. 147 for 8 it remains, and we have 8 deliveries to go. 165 might be out of the question, but I live in hope, and you're going to give me all the hands you've ever taken off me if they get there. 147 for 8. In goes Potts, 2 deliveries he's got left. That one's on the pads of Alex Thompson as he makes room for himself by stepping into the leg side. And it is signalled leg by David Milnes, 148 for 8. Now he doesn't want a single off this last ball. I hope that, that Dupavilon and Thompson have been counting. It's almost I'm going to say it, it's almost a free hit for Dupavilon, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because if he gets out, it doesn't matter. He might not think that, but it doesn't. He waits now, and he has clipped it down the ground for 1. I'm not sure that's the ideal outcome, because it means that Dupavilon will be on strike for the start of the final over. 7 runs off the penultimate over. 149 for 8. Pat Brown, the last man with his pads on in the Derbyshire dugout, will be praying that he doesn't have to come out. And the first baller that he got at Birmingham on Sunday was very, very impressive. Middle stump. Missed a straight ball, really.
He's not even in the dugout, Pat Brown. He's sat down on the steps.
He was keen. He's keen. Ben Rain to bowl the final over then. Dupavilon waits for a slower delivery, chops it out towards the point area, and he scrambles through for a single. He's done well there to get off strike. As Darren Dupavilon, who moves on to a season-high 3.
Right, over to Alex Thompson. Could do with a few lusty blows, Fletch.
165 still on. 150 for 8 with 5 deliveries to go.
2 sixes and a few singles. We'll be there.
There we go. Could be easy, really. Rain is in and bowls, and Thompson gets a full toss, and he clips it out into the leg side. 1 bounce to the fielder out there in the distance. It was slightly better off now. I think it's Nathan Souter out there, because the sun has dipped or gone behind a cloud, or a cloud's got in front of the sun. So therefore he doesn't have that in his eyes anymore. 151 for 8, Dupavilon back on strike. We all hold our collective breath as Rain, with 4 deliveries to go, runs towards us from the city end and bowls. It's a slower delivery, and he's waited for it, and he's done really well to cut that out into the offside. He's only going to get a single for it, but he did well to wait for that one. A lot of 10/11/12 batters would have swung way before the ball had arrived, so he's clearly got a good eye, if not a good technique. 3 deliveries to go. 152 for 8. Rain runs towards us, crowd very quiet. Thompson smashes that down the ground for a single. 153 for 8. I think 165's out of the question now. 2 balls to go. 23.
It's still on, Fletch.
Well, it's not, is it?
It's still on.
No, it's not.
2 Darren Dupavilon sixes gets us there.
A single followed by a 6 off the last ball gets Alex Thompson a high score in T20 cricket. Darren Dupavilon are not out. He's got 4 off 5. Thompson on 22. 153 for 8 as Ben Rain is in again. Past umpire Hassan Adnan. It's driven down the ground. They're going to run 1. I don't think they're going to come back for the second. Darren Dupavilon had absolutely no intention of looking around to see if Alex Thompson was calling him through, which he wasn't. And Pat Brown,
he's ran up the steps to take his pads off.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I suppose he's fairly safe, isn't he? 1 ball to go then.
Come on, Tomo. Put him in the stands. 160.
would be nice. Chris Coles will have a roundup of what's happening elsewhere as we look back at this Derbyshire first innings in a few moments' time. 154 for 8. Ben Rainey's in. Thompson goes for the scoop. And gets a single. And Derbyshire will finish with a bit of a damp squib on 155 for 8. 6 runs off the last over. Alex Thompson finishes on 22 from 24 deliveries. Darren Dupavalon will finish on 5 from 6. When you look back at that card, it doesn't make particularly pleasant reading. The high scores, Wayne Madsen's 22, couple of 20s, well, and Alex Thompson, of course, not out at the end. A couple of 20s from Samit Patel and Wayne Madsen, a couple of 20, David Lloyd. I can't even read my own writing. But the contributions have been few and far between. 13 apiece from Ross Whiteley and Mohammed Amir. Derbyshire are going to have to do something spectacular to win this one. They will, in a few minutes' time, after reaching 155 for 8, be trying to defend 155, Chris. I'm not sure they're going to do it.
Thank you, Fletch. Well,
But don't stop listening.
No, quite. do continue to listen, because you never know. This is cricket. A bit strange if things have happened.
Classic could be a classic.
It could be a classic. It could be a classic. But one thing is for sure, Derbyshire are going to have to probably put in the bowling performances of their lives if they are to get anywhere near Durham falling short of 155 or 156.
Yeah, they are. They're probably going to have to put in the bowling and fielding performance of the tournament so far. They're well under par there, I'd say. The only saving grace is they did manage to scrape up to something, a bit of a score, 155. It's something to bowl at. Like we mentioned earlier, Durham are probably going to come out and be ultra aggressive, try and make the most of their net run rate, which in playing in that manner does open the door a little bit for Derbyshire to take advantage of Durham's extra risk-taking and appetite to score quickly, which will bring about it chances for Derbyshire to take wickets and therefore bring them into the game. They're going to have to come out and take early wickets in the power play. Mohammed Amir could do with a couple of wickets early doors. Depavlon's back in the side. He's taken early wickets throughout the tournament. So we could do with somebody in this team, maybe a couple of them, standing up and putting in a couple of massive bowling performances to give Derbyshire a chance of a quarter-final.
And when you look down the scorecard, when the top score is 22 from 2 players, Alex Thompson 22 not out, Wayne Madsen 22 from 15, you know it's not going to make pretty reading.
Yeah, there's nothing of any note from Derbyshire. No one was able to get in and bat any length of time and get a partnership together. Everyone just really chipping in with 10s and 20s. It's never going to be enough to take you up to a big score. On a night like this, a quarter-final, before a quarter-final almost, you need somebody to put the hand up and take responsibility and put a big performance in, and that just was what was lacking in the first half of there for Derbyshire.
And when you look back at it, Durham will be pretty pleased, well, clearly be very pleased with restricting Derbyshire to 155 for 8, especially with the wicket shared out between 4 of the 5 bowlers, Callum Parkinson, Paul Coughlin, Nathan Souttar, Ben Rain, all taking 2 wickets each. It didn't feel like they had to work too hard for those wickets, which will be the most frustrating thing, that most of the dismissals you feel were clearly preventable.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. There was a few soft dismissals throughout Derbyshire's innings, and then a few... I don't like saying bad shots in 2020 cricket, because people obviously going to play aggressive shots and inventive shots, etc. But I just think in the situation, there was a few shots that were played that perhaps didn't need to be played at that specific time. I thought Derbyshire could have managed the innings a lot better. They got off to an incredibly fast start, albeit whilst losing a couple of wickets as well. And as we mentioned on commentary with Fletch, and Iron hit 2 boundaries in a row, went for a third and got out. That's the period of the game where you can manage it better and take your single the next ball after hitting 10 off the previous 2, and then take yourself into the next over and go again. You give yourself an extra chance to keep going, rather than sometimes players can get into that 5th, 6th gear and stay in there and not want to come back down. But the longer you stay in that top gear, the more risks you're going to take and the more chances you are of getting out and not being able to contribute with a big score that's going to win games of cricket. Quick little 20s and 30s don't really win games of cricket. they're useful if you're coming in with a few overs left to get a quick 30 at the end. But when you're batting in the top 5 or 6 of a T20, you need people getting 50 plus to give yourself a chance of getting a big score, and that's what was missing in that first half, unfortunately.
So ground staff preparing the pitch for the Durham chase. The brushes are out, the roller is out. The Derbyshire bowlers going through their warm-up away to our left-hand side. The state of play elsewhere in the North Group is interesting for Durham in particular, you'd argue, because actually, yes, they'll be looking to win this game quickly to improve their net run rate, but Notts have racked up 209 for 9 against Yorkshire. Now, if Notts win that game and Durham beat Derbyshire and Leicestershire lose at Birmingham, then Durham would go through. Doesn't matter about net run rate. So Notts 209 for 9, which is a commendable effort from a side that have been really struggling in the T20 Blast this campaign. Jack Haynes 50 off 21. Freddie McCann 48 from 32, Sam King 44 from 25. Not household names there, but some very useful contributions. So Yorkshire require 210. They too are right in the mix, are Yorkshire, and if they win that, and they win that well, albeit winning well is a tough ask when you're chasing 210. That would move them into contention as well, depending on the game at Edgbaston between Birmingham and Leicestershire. Remember, if Leicestershire win that, then they are through regardless of what happens elsewhere. Really good start from the Bears, but they've just been checked slightly, and the Bears are 194 for 5. In fact, that's just concluded at Edgbaston. Birmingham Bears 194 for 5. They really did get off to a lightning start. Moeen Ali, 103 from 59 balls, 9 sixes in that. Alex Davis made 31. Really, the bulk of the runs coming from those two. 19 from Jacob Bethel, 11 from Dan Mousley. So Leicestershire have done well just to check that Birmingham Bears momentum. So Leicestershire will require 195 to beat Birmingham Bears at Edgbaston. If they do that, then they will take the quarter-final spot. If they slip up, then it will open the door for Yorkshire and Durham. And you have to say that Durham are probably in the driving seat, given how well they've done to restrict Derbyshire to what they have done, and the fact that Yorkshire require a mammoth 210 to beat Notts Outlaws. For Derbyshire, they need to put in the bowling performances of their lives, and if they do that, actually, then they will have restricted Durham to not too many, in which case their net run rate would improve, and they still have to rely on Leicestershire slipping up against the Bears. Elsewhere in the South Group, a staggering scoreline at Sophia Gardens. Glamorgan 237 for 3 in the final over of their 20, which is a remarkable effort for a county that I think have gone the longest without qualifying for a quarter-final, and they won't be qualifying this year either because they are a few points short. However, they've had a really good spell against Somerset. Kieran Carlson smashing 135 from 64 balls, and William Smale hitting 59. So they're on course for a mammoth score against the Somerset side, who are one of the best in the competition. In fact, will qualify for a quarter-final in the South Group. And whether or not they qualify for a home quarter-final remains to be seen. They do need to win that and hope for favours elsewhere. And I'd say that's in jeopardy given Glamorgan's score, but we've seen this with Somerset before. They'll probably chase that down in 12 overs for the loss of just one, knowing Glamorgan and knowing Somerset. That might be over very quickly. But that's a good effort from the Welsh county. Elsewhere in the South Group, Hampshire 181 for 5 from their 20 overs against Essex, who are one of the sides that can still qualify for the top 4, and they will do that with a win, usurping Gloucestershire, and they'll fancy their chances. Will Essex chasing 182 down at Hove. Elsewhere in the North Group, Lancashire 201 for 9 against Northants, who can steal a home quarter-final if they chase 202 at Old Trafford, but that's a decent effort from Lancashire. Back in the South Group, Middlesex 159 for 9 from their 20 overs. That's at Hove, beg your pardon. Southampton, of course, was the Hampshire scoreline. So 160 needed by Sussex to beat Middlesex. And here at the county ground, just 156 needed by Durham to win, and if they were to win, then they would be favourites to go through to the top 4 if Leicestershire failed to chase down 195 to beat Birmingham. Dave Fletcher back alongside. We've been here before, haven't we, sadly, with Derbyshire?
As recently as last season, we were here when they only had to beat Worcestershire. to go through to the quarterfinals and ended up losing a home game, just fluffing their lines completely. I'm going to give everybody out there some hope.
Go on.
It's not like me, I know, but I'm going to do it anyway. In 2003...
Yeah, right.
So recently, relatively recent
Yes.
history, in the very early stages of the T20 Cup, as it was known then, the North Group, Durham won the toss, put Derbyshire into bat. That was here, at
Right.
the county ground.
Yeah.
Derbyshire were bowled out for 157
Okay.
and won by 6 runs.
Wow.
They defended 157. So it can be done.
2000, but that was back in the day where 120 was probably regarded as a big score in T20 cricket.
Yeah, if you got 140 in T20 cricket, the opposition packed in, didn't
Exactly.
they? They said, "Oh, we can't chase. Can't possibly chase that."
2003, the competition must have only just started in 2003. Was that his first year?
It was the first season, yeah, the very first season. It was Derbyshire's 4th serious game in the North Group of T20 cricket. They played their first game on the 14th of June 2003. That one came on the 23rd of June. And they only actually played 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, only played 5 group matches, so they only played either home or away. And I'm fairly sure that they got through to the quarterfinals that season. They ended up playing Lancashire and losing, of course, but that might have been the season after. Either way, there's the hope that I'm providing. I can do no
like
more.
it.
I can do no more, Chris. I can do no more than that.
No, I appreciate it.
Get myself in a right mess.
You would say, and actually one thing I was going to pose to Tom and forgot, and it's probably one for the post-mortem, that you look at the decision from Derbyshire to leave out Zach Chappell. This was the ideal scenario. I'm not saying Zach Chappell would have changed the match, but clearly when you're, 90 odd for 5 or 6 as Derbyshire were, then if you see Darren de Pavillon or Mohamed Amir striding to the crease, it's a little bit different compared to, say, a Zach Chappell.
Yeah.
So that's the decision that... And listen, if Darren de Pavillon takes 5 or 6 wickets...
This is now the position where perhaps, it might, not entirely, but Darren de Pavillon is a very, very fine T20 bowler. He's got a terrific Yorker, which is pretty much his stock ball in T20 cricket, it seems to me. So Mohamed Amir hasn't won them a game yet. Mohamed Amir needs to win Derbyshire a game to justify whatever money he's getting for these 6 matches, which have turned into 5.
Well, maybe this is the opportunity to do that. So 156 needed for Derbyshire, and remember, Leicestershire need 195 to beat Birmingham. All of this will be academic and redundant if Leicestershire get that 195. But if they don't, it opens the door for Derbyshire or Durham, depending on the winner of this game. And given Notts defending 210... Oh, is it maybe premature to say they've got the job done? There probably is, knowing Notts. They've turned the corner.
Turned the corner, bless them.
But they've put in a good shift there, given that they've put out a side that isn't full of household names. But anyway, 156 Derbyshire need to defend, and if they do, they've got a chance. But they need to bowl out of their skin. Tom and Fletch.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Mohamed Amir is going to bowl the first ball of the Derbyshire innings from the City end. He's got a slip in place, Wayne Madsen. He's in now and bowls, and that is turned up towards mid-on by Clark for a single. And they're up and running. Durham, Graham Clark off the mark straight away. Can they do it, Woody?
Well, they definitely can. They're going to have to produce something special, though. And as Chris was saying, it's a great time. There's never going to be a better time for Mohamed Amir to win Derbyshire a game of cricket. This is it. You need to get a couple of early wickets for sure to set Derbyshire on the way. He's bowling against 2 very good T20 batsmen.
Oh, he's had a little fence at that one as Alex Lees. He is an enormous individual. I didn't realise he was quite as big as he is, Alex Lees. He's massive.
He's not quite as big as you, Fletch, but he is a big boy.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
He's got 2 pies in his bag for the way home. Wow.
He might have 3.
I've always enjoyed him as a cricketer, though, Alex Lees. He's a big hitter. He won't die wondering. Although he might have been on his way back. The Samit's already warming up. That seems unlikely. In comes Mohamed Amir then, bowls to Lees, who reaches for that one outside the off stump. Looks as though it kept a bit low. Yeah, absolutely. Kept a bit low.
Do with a few more of them, keeping low. Hopefully a little bit straighter. Looks to be a little bit of swing from Mohamed Amir as well. Wayne Madsen in at first slip.
Here's one for you then. If he's getting a bit of swing, he gets swing in this over, gets swing in the next over that he bowls. If he bowls over number 3, do you keep him on? I
think it depends how he goes, yeah.
I always think it's a bit of a waste to put him back up his sleeve, as this one is guided nicely by Lees out towards de Pavillon. Picks up nicely. They turn for the second, but it's not there. Good piece of fielding by de Pavillon, who is a very good fielder. Zach Chappell's a good fielder too, though. So you're not really missing too much by the swap there. It will be a major talking point, though, come the final reckoning if Derbyshire don't get over the line in this game. 2 without loss, 4 deliveries into their innings. Durham chasing 156 to win. Graham Clark back on strike. Amir bowls to him and he drives this one straight to the man and Aaron Donald, who's inside the circle at cover.
His hands taped up in iron, fingers and hands all taped up.
Mate, yeah, everybody's a mess by this time of the season, aren't they? We've lost the slip now. Wayne Madsen's going into mid-wicket, so they can't dab and run. Samit is, as he always is, an extra cover, well inside the circle.
Lots of energy from Samit Patel at extra cover. He's buzzing around.
Amir bowls. That's left him. That's a beautiful delivery from Mohammed Amir. Good first over. He bowled a decent first over last night. I think he only went for 1 last night. He did for 1 in the first over last night. 2 without loss after 1. Durham chasing 156. That required rate, just 8.1 runs and over. And here is Darren Dupavel on a wicket with his first ball against Notts. I don't know how much pressure he'll be feeling. I think you're right in what you said about all overseas feel that little bit of pressure. They're getting the big bucks, aren't they, to try and win games for you. And he gets a little low 5 from his red ball skipper, David Lloyd, before he begins this over. I can't remember which game it was now, when there was some sort of almost coded criticism of him in the final over of a game when he went away from his full
It's Old Trafford away, wasn't it?
Is that right? Yes, you're right. He's in now to bowl to Alex Lees, who drives for 4. Out towards the extra cover boundary to complete silence, which is always a good thing, which is what Samit Patel wants, but it's a good shot from Alex Lees, who picks up the first boundary, 6 without loss.
It's a friendly start from Darren de Pavlon, isn't it? He's missed his line and length there. It's full outside off stump, and Alex Lees has gratefully accepted that with smashing it through extra cover for 4. It's not the start he would have hoped for, Darren de Pavlon.
What's his response going to be? 6 without loss, Durham. In goes de Pavlon around the wicket. That one has been lifted for 4 more by Lees over the head of mid-on and out towards the wide long-on boundary. This is not good for Derbyshire. They've moved up to 10 without loss. 24 for 1 Derbyshire after 2 overs, so they're a long way behind. Long way
miles behind.
They're already ahead on Duckworth Lewis, though. De Pavlon looks as though he's deep in thought. He's got some thinking to do, certainly. He's going to continue around the wicket to Alex Lees, who's got 9 off 5. And he sets off again from the racecourse end. Balls, he's gone for the ramp, but it's gone through his legs, remarkably, and through to Brookes behind the stumps. I could only have gone up off his bat and smashed into his face for my money.
I was not expecting that from Alex Lees. He's a big man, as Fletch says. He generally stands still and strikes a ball down the ground. He's not really one for the funky shots, so I'm not sure where that's come from. Especially after standing still and standing tall and striking it relatively straight the previous 2 with good success. I'm not sure why he'd go away from that.
Backward point, backward square leg on the boundary. They're the 2 men outside the circle for de Pavlon's 4th delivery. 10 without loss. Durham, he's in and bowls to him, and he cracks this away into the offside for 4 more. Once he gets past Samit, it's always going to go to the boundary, and Aaron Donald can do no more than retrieve it. I do like that it's greeted with complete silence. I really like that. I mean, it's come too late, obviously, but that's what Samit told me he wanted at the start of the season. He wants this to be a hostile place for oppositions to play their cricket. And it hasn't been massively hostile so far in this innings, of course. 14 without loss, 12 off de Pavlon's first 4 deliveries. But for another boundary to be greeted by complete silence, nobody's left just yet. They're still milling around. It's a very warm evening in Derby. As de Pavlon goes over the wicket this time to Lees, who smashes him off an inside edge out towards Pat Brown on the square leg boundary. Single is taken, 15 for 1. A long way in front of Duckworth Lewis, but a long way behind where Derbyshire were. They got off to a flying start. They made 64 in the power play and a further 90 runs in the remaining overs, which isn't ideal.
Yeah, it's not, like you said, the quietness after the boundaries. doesn't really lend itself to being hostile at the minute. It just sort of takes all the sting and energy out of Derbyshire. There's no buzz. It's almost a bit demoralising at the minute. It's not the start they was after.
Pavlon bowls and Clark drives down the ground. David Lloyd gets across and fields. It keeps them down to a single, and it's the end of the Dupavillon over, which went for 14 runs, 16 without loss after 2. They need 8 and over. That's what they got. That's what they've got after the first 2. And Wayne Madsen, the only man to come across to Darren Dupavillon and have a quiet word with him. He nods after Madsen says something to him. Put that out of your mind, and here's Tomo.
I think Wayne's just suggested to him there that the length to bowl is almost waistband length, and he's just missed that to Alex Lees. He got too full early on. He might have been just searching for a little bit of movement, a little bit of swing, but he's got too full, and as Wayne rightly suggested to him there, the length on this pitch is waistline. That's the length to bowl. It's tough to hit through that length. It's not short enough to be able to pull or get underneath.
Graham Clark on strike for the start of the third over. Alex Thompson from the City end then around the wicket with his off-spin bowls to Clark, who pulls it into the leg side for a single. I think Thompson will prefer to bowl to Lees anyway. Perhaps he was trying to give him a single there, but we'll give that one to him. Pat Brown does the fielding. And Thompson sends Ross Whiteley out to the straight mid-wicket boundary, and Lewis Rees, I think that is, out to long on in the far distance. Wayne Madsen is outside the circle as well at the moment, so he's just moving around, and now it's more orthodox. It's more of a square leg, isn't it, than a mid-wicket now that Ross Whiteley's gone into. So the field has been settled, and Thompson is in and bowls, and that one is cut away for 4 runs by Alex Thompson. Dropped it a bit too short. More silence, another boundary. Lots of shaking of heads going on around the place.
Yeah, that's not the ball Alex Thompson was looking to bowl there with his 2 men out on the boundary at long on in deep square. He's dragged it down short and wide, and with no one out on the offside boundary, Alex Lees just has to miss the men at cover in the ring.
Turns this one into the leg side for a single. There's a shy at the stumps from Wayne Madsen. The ball actually hits Lee's bat as he grounds it at the far end. Another single, 22 without loss. Derbyshire in desperate need of quick wickets here. Really, apart from a couple of deliveries from Mohamed Amir, look like it so far. Thompson is in, and that one's pulled into the leg side for 4 more by Clark. Drops that short. More silence.
Yeah, Derbyshire really look a little bit demoralised right now. Durham have really took the sting and the energy out of the Derbyshire players. I think it's an interesting decision to go with Alex Thompson here in the power play, the third over. You've got Mohamed Amir as your overseas, your star man, your talisman. You're really relying on him to come and get early wickets, and to only bowl in 1 over when it was swinging a little bit seems a bit of a bizarre decision for me. Need to get wickets early in this power play, and you feel like Amir is your man to do that.
Come on, Yorkshire.
Never thought I'd hear you say
or
that.
Leicestershire, anybody. Oh, Durham to go through. In comes Thompson again. That one's turned into the leg side. Cue the abuse from the Durham supporters watching the stream. Apologies. 27 without loss. I mean, this is just a stroll at the moment for Durham. 9 off that over. No, 11 off that over. 27 without loss after 3. That required rate is down at 7.5 already. Here is Mohamed Amir back, perhaps an over too late. Just polishes the ball. Will he get some swing from the racecourse? And we will find out momentarily. Yorkshire 19 for 1, chasing 210 to beat Notts. They've left it a bit late. Leicestershire 18 without loss in search of 195 to secure their place in the quarter-finals. Here goes Mohamed Amir then, bowling to Alex Lees, and Lees pushes this out towards Samit Patel at extra cover, who fields at the second attempt, and there is no run. So we've already seen Darren Dupavillon. We've seen a couple of overs from Mohamed Amir. Pat Brown tends to bowl 1 over in the power play and no more. It doesn't even look like he's warming up, but it's It's warm anyway, but you know what I mean, stretching out a backward square leg on the boundary in front of the dugouts. In goes Mohamed Amir again, balls, and that's a swing and a miss from Alex Lees. Mohamed Amir turns with a wry smile on his face, marches back to his mark. 28 without loss. They only need to be 24 at the end of this over to be on Duckworth Lewis, so they're already miles in front. As a guide, we're not going to see any rain until tomorrow, I don't think. Perhaps tonight, but not before this game's finished. Here goes Mohamed Amir in again. Bowls, and he's guided straight to the man at short third man, Lewis Rees, who fumbles, so they managed to sneak through for another single. Lees moves to 21, 29 without loss. Halfway through the fourth over. You'd think I'd be used to it by now.
It's the hope that kills you, Fletch.
I'm not sure there was that much hope, if I'm honest. Just
change of field from Mohamed Amir with deep backward square and
disappointment.
deep mid wicket right now for Graham Clark.
Amir is in, and that one is pushed out into the offside. They're going to go through for a quick single as a shot. The stumps from Madsen that misses. Clark gets his bat stuck, which is a bit awkward. Mohamed Amir is laughing now. Clark is on his back on the floor. 30 without loss. Clark moves to 9. That can be quite unpleasant. You jam your bat in, and it's almost like being a pole vaulter, isn't it? You just catapult yourself to the floor. 30 without loss. Amir has a couple of balls left of this over. He's only gone for 4 in the 10 deliveries that he's sent down so far, which is a terrific effort, but he really needs wickets here. He's in over the wicket and bowls.
Catch it.
Slashed away to backward point. It's a good stop in the end from Ross Whiteley, but they do get through for a single. It wasn't, well, it dropped about 4 or 5 yards in front of Whiteley at backward point. Lees moves to 22, 31 without loss. Final ball of the fourth over coming up then. Derbyshire are going to have to do something special here. That we've all seen the movie, etc. We almost certainly know. We saw it this time last year when they played Worcestershire and fluffed their lines. Mohamed Amir in to bowl to Clark, who's
what
beaten.
A ball that is.
Is he caught behind? Mohamed Amir thinks so. There's no reviews, of course. In fact, Mohamed Amir was the only one who did think that he was caught behind, because Brooke Guest just caught the ball and ran down the track. 31 without loss, 4 off that one. 2 overs for 5, Mohamed Amir. That's not a bad effort.
It's a brilliant finish from him as well. He generally swings it back into the right-handers, but that one, he's genuinely swung that away from Graham Clark and really deceived him there. I think he's expecting the in-swinger, and the away swinger from him has really foxed him.
We're going to see Pat Brown for the first time, bowling from the City end with his box of tricks. 21 wickets this season in the T20 blast for Pat Brown. He's pretty much done everything expected of him with the ball. And he's on his way in to bowl to Alex Lees, who gets a slower delivery first up, pushes it into the onside when Madsen fumbles. They scramble through for a single, 32 without loss. Was a slow ball.
It was a slow ball, Fletch, yeah. Sharp as a razor.
Certainly getting there, Woody, now. With just 15 overs and 5 balls of the season to go. I'm almost there.
Where's that optimism gone?
I didn't fancy the Oval in the first week in September.
Yeah,
I've got to be honest, I didn't really fancy it, but I'd have taken it, but it wasn't something I was desperate to
Just see you strolling around Surrey on a
it's me,
summer's evening.
It's definitely me. Brown is in. That's a cricket ball, and that's flashed past Clark's bat through to the keeper, Brooke Guest. Yeah, the crowd have given up. Why? Who's in charge of the trumpet in there? Whoever it is, stop it. Derbyshire in a big hole here. The last thing they want is to poke the bear. Clark's on 9 from 10, 32 without loss, 5th over. Brown is in, bowls to him, and he gets bat on that one, pushes it out into the offside. Fielded by Samit Patel. Good delivery. It's just a hum out there, though. You don't quite get this much noise at a county championship match, but it doesn't feel like a raucous T20 night at the county ground, does it?
I think it's hard to magic up that atmosphere when it's been such a abject performance so far. I think if Derbyshire were on top and it was a more of a tight contest, you would see a lot more of an atmosphere and buzz around the ground.
Brown bowls, that's
Catch
lifted,
it.
catch. Oh, I thought he'd taken it, Thompson, but he dived away to his left-hand side. It's gone for 4. It must have touched the end of his fingertips, that one. But Clark picks up a boundary. And Durham move on to 36 without loss. Clark to 13, 2 balls of the 5th over to go. I was sure he'd taken that.
I thought he got closer to it than he did, but just watching it on the replay here, and we'll see just how close he got to it. No, he didn't get anywhere near it, really, Tomo. Unfortunately, he put the dive in, but
wishful
didn't quite
thinking
get
from this
there.
commentator. Yeah, could really do with a wicket in the power play here. Looking at the body language, there's a couple of players out there with their hands on their hips, David Lloyd and Wayne Madsen. Nobody looks massively up for it, do they? Darren Dupavillon always stands like that when he's in the field. And Aaron Donald out on the square leg boundary. He's got his head down, wandering around. And here comes Pat Brown. 36 without loss, Durham. He bowls, and that one is edged and caught by Mohammed Amir. Pat Brown takes his 22nd wicket of the season. He's had a good campaign. Clark goes for 13. Is this the start? Who knows? 36 for 1, Durham.
Yeah, it's a thick edge from Clark, and it's gone head-eye. It's gone quite quickly to short third man. Mohammed Amir there taking a smart catch. They do come quick. We've seen a few balls so far today fly off down in that region. And it's a good catch from Mohammed Amir, and Derbyshire are in desperate need of a wicket, desperate need of something. And can that just provide the spark that Derbyshire need to take more wickets and really try and push on and give themselves a chance in this game?
They've got rid of Clark, and out walks David Beddingham, which is a slight concern. Very fine cricketer. Well, that was a good catch by Mohammed Amir. It really flew to him. Just had to flex the knees. Perhaps he's going to win the game by taking 7 catches.
And a couple of run-outs.
Yeah. Who knows? Pat Brown has had a terrific season. 22 wickets, not to be sniffed out at all in, let's not forget, 13 games, because the game against Lancashire was washed out. He's fulfilled his part of the bargain. 36 for 1 then, Durham. Brown
Slip in.
on his way, yes, on his way into Beddingham, who flashes at that one as it comes back in. Doesn't miss the off stump by much, does it?
It didn't look like it bounced that much again.
A terrific over, 5 runs from it and a wicket. 36 for 1 after 5. Durham, that required rate, hovers around 8 still. What are you messing about with technology now? I'm not sure that's...
Just trying to speed it up. It's a little bit slow.
Sure, that's your forte, messing about with technology.
I'm a man of many talents, Fletch, thank you.
Got a laptop?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. But it's not one of them posh ones that Coles has
Definitely not a posh one like yours, a little touchscreen one, that is a fact.
This is the BBC's. Mohammed Amir, I want to stress that, bowling his 3rd over. Final over of the power play as well, bowls to Lees, who was expecting a quicker delivery. And there's a shy at the stumps there from Wayne Madsen. Well backed up by Samit Patel, Beddingham just out of his crease. I think this is a good idea.
Well, I don't think Derbyshire have got much choice, to
No,
be honest. Mohammed
absolutely.
Amir is the main man, he's the strike man. He's the one who's most likely to get a wicket. Derbyshire are desperate for wickets right now. They need to bowl, and there's no point saving him. There'll be nothing to save him for. He needs to bowl now and try and take wickets.
And he goes again. That's good fielding by Wayne Madsen. Terrific reflexes. Down, picks up, and he's in the ready to throw the ball at the stumps position. Another dot ball, 36-1. We all know what happens after 2 dot balls. Nothing, really. Generally.
We'll see.
Well, we will.
Slog this one up in the air.
Well, that would be nice, as long as the catch is taken. Mohammed Amir on his way in once again, bowling from the racecourse end, and that one is crashed away into the ground. That might go all the way to the boundary. Ross Whiteley's racing around but can't get there, and it is 4 runs. Mohammed Amir is not happy about something, but he seldom is. And Durham move on to 40 for 1. Alex Lees is up to 27 now off 19 deliveries, and the Durham skipper looks intent on winning this one for his side by himself at the moment. Clark out for 13. Beddingham faced just the 1 delivery yet to get off the mark, but Lee's going great guns. 27 off 19. Halfway through the 6th over, 3 balls of power play remain, and this one is pushed out into the offside straight to an Aaron Donald by Lees, and there's no run. Because they're not going to restrict them, clearly, which is why they need these wickets. These overs are all really good. Mohamed Amir has gone for 9 runs in 16 deliveries. It's a terrific effort, but the 0 in the wickets column is really hurting Derbyshire here, and Durham know that, well, they simply don't need to lose wickets. They just need to carry on as they are. That one's been driven down the ground. There's a dive by Alex Thompson. He doesn't get there, and it's 4 runs. Put the dive in. Madson's got his hands on his head. I don't think Alex Thompson could have reached that one. He's one of the tallest men going around. He's 6'5". Put the full-length dive in, and Lees moves to 31 off 21. 44 for 1 Durham, with 1 ball of the power play remaining. Derbyshire at the end of the power play was 64 for 3. Durham maximum will be 2 down. Can he get a wicket with the final ball of the power play, Mohamed Amir? The answer to that is no, as it's dabbed down into the ground. There's a shy at the stumps from Brooke Guest, but Beddingham was in there. Mohamed Amir is claiming the run out from 20 yards away. End of the power play, 45 for 1, 22 to Lees. Beddingham has yet to get off the mark, but he's only faced the 1 ball. 9 runs off the over. End of the power play. Should I give up now, Woody, or are we going to witness something remarkable?
Who knows? Who knows, Fletch?
Good answer. Good answer. Keep listening, everybody.
I think Durham have done a good job of managing that power play, like we spoke about in Derbyshire's innings. They didn't do a very good job of managing the innings and managing important moments. Like we spoke about, Mohamed Amir is the main man, the main threat for Derbyshire, hence why he's bowled 3 out of the 6 overs in the power play. And they've played him with caution, respect, with a little bit of positive intent. They've identified that if he doesn't get any wickets in the power play, that contributes to them having a great chance of going on to win this game.
Brown begins a new over with a delivery that's punched into the ground, into the offside by Alex Lees. It was well fielded by Wayne Madsen, who had a shot at the stumps. Beddingham was home. He didn't hit the stumps anyway. And Durham moved to 46 for 1. That required rate hasn't budged from 8 and over. They need 110 more runs to win, Durham, to potentially take them through to the quarterfinals, but their net run rate could come back to bite them. Who knows? I think that would be even worse, winning the game and not going through on net run rate. I'm trying to convince myself as Brown is in, and that strikes Beddingham, and it's another dot ball. Brown is a really, really fine white ball bowler. Quick look at those other scores. Yorkshire 49 for 3 and heading for defeat to Nottinghamshire. That's embarrassing. And Leicestershire are 36 for 3 and heading for defeat against Birmingham, which is less embarrassing, but might spell the end of their T20 quarter-final hopes. If they lose heavily, it could work in Durham's favour. Or Derbyshire's. Sorry, I meant to mention that. Here's Pat Brown, 46 for 1. Brown is in, and that one's down the leg side. It will be signalled wide. 47 for 1. I don't think I've ever seen a crowd this big be this quiet. The last time a crowd was this quiet was in the final over of the game against Lancashire 2 years ago that George Scrimshaw bowled. And everybody was pretty much on the edge of their seats for that. It was a magnificent over. Derbyshire won the game. Scrimshaw defended 12, I think it was. But that's when Tim David took a single off the first ball and watched the game from the other end unravel. So the overseas didn't really do what he's supposed to do in that one. But the crowd, there was a hush to the crowd that night. That was in expectation. I think this one is in disappointment. 47 for 1, lifted into the leg side. Beddingham only for a single out towards David Lloyd, who throws the ball back. Beddingham is off the mark at the 3rd time of asking. 48 for 1. I imagine Tim David's earning a few quid in the Major League Cricket at the moment.
He's not short of a few bob, I'm sure.
No, absolutely not. Turned his back on his country of birth to play for Australia. Shocking. Here comes Pat Brown, halfway through his 2nd over. It's into bowl to Alex Lees, who has a swing at that one, misses, and it goes through to Brooke Guest. He ended up with a one hand off the bat. So Pat Brown again doing his bit. Darren Pavlon has got to come back and try and redeem himself, hasn't he, really? Bowled 1 over for 14. Mohammed Amir's bowled 3 overs for 14. Alex Thompson 1 over for 12. And Pat Brown in his second over, 1 for 8. With his 22nd wicket of the season in the T20 Blast. He turns at the top of his mark. Motors towards us, and Alex Lees gets a slower delivery, then he pulls around the corner, and Aaron Donald is there at square leg on the boundary. And they go through for another single. 49 for 1.
I'd expect to see Samit Patel very soon as well. He's yet to bowl.
Yes.
Maybe it's a night for the skipper.
He's just warmed up by windmilling his arms once and doing one jump in the air. I love that with Samit. Here comes Brown. Final ball of his over, bowls to Bettingham. It's a slower delivery. It's clipped into the leg side. They're going to come back for the second one now, taking on the David Lloyd arm, and they were probably right to do so because they get back comfortably enough. The 50's up for Durham. 51 for 1, 6 runs off that over. Pat Brown's bowled 2 overs, 1 for 11.
And here he is.
And here comes the skipper. Over to you, Samit.
Need something special from him here.
Just finish it off, would you? Yes, they do. What's Samit Patel's best bowling in T20 cricket? What do you reckon?
6 for
24. It's usually 24, isn't it? Usually it's 4 overs for 24. It's just
6 for 20, something like that.
6 for 20. Let's
Big
have a
guess,
look.
I don't know.
I've got to wait
He
until...
must have had a 5-for. He's played 1,000 games.
Yes, he has. He's played a lot of T20 cricket, this boy. Let's have a look. Get the Samit Patel stats up. Derbyshire's skipper this season, having signed from Nottinghamshire, of course. We can't hold that against him any longer. His best bowling in T20 is 4 for 5.
Oh, he's not got a 5-for.
No. He's got
What
4 wickets in an innings 3 times. The first ball he bowls to Alex Lees goes underneath the Lees bat and isn't taken cleanly by Brooke Guest, who I think was a little bit surprised. Samit turns back on his mark already. He's on his way in over the wicket to Lees. Oh, it gets an inside edge into the leg side for a single to Pavlon Fields. 52 for 1.
Great time for your first 5-for then, Samit.
He's played 412 T20s and another 18 T20 internationals on top of that.
I'm amazed at that. I thought I would have put my house on him having a 5-for.
Never. Would he never put your house on anything?
Well,
Just
obviously haven't. But
just a little tip. That one's been pushed out into the offside by Bettingham for a single. Nicely fielded by David Lloyd. I wouldn't even know how would you no. 53 for 1. I'd have thought he'd have got a 5-for, I must admit. They're not easy to come by though in T20 cricket. That one is a swept slog sweep, 4 runs for Alex Lees. In between the two fielders on the leg side boundary, Lloyd and Brown. Lees moves on to 39. Martin Emerson in the box next door, already thinking what he's going to be doing in the first week of September. Looking forward to that trip to the Oval. That's why he's got such a glum face. Samit, what he generally does, goes for the reverse sweep this time, but he reverses it straight to Mohammed Amir, who throws the ball so far over Brooke Guest's head that the batters get through for a single that was never there. That was a disappointing piece of fielding, really, all round. He did well to stop it in the first place because it just skipped up off the turf. 58 for 1. Final ball of Samit's over. Bowls, and that struck the pad. His big appeal for leg before wicket, not out. Now there's a shy at the stumps, and Bettingham's almost run out. He goes through for a leg by. It was David Lloyd with the throw, well backed up by Alex Thompson. The over comes to an end. 59 for 1, 8 runs off it. A decent enough over from Samit Patel. There's another score. There's another scatter blast coming.
Looks like there's a little bit of spin there for Samit Patel. He's It's got that to straighten, but I think it's just pitched outside leg stump. Looking at the replay, and the direct hit would have been out, I think, from De Pavlon. There's a bit of confusion on the run-in, but unfortunately couldn't quite hit the stumps, but I think he was gone.
Alex Thompson returns. Went for 19 in his first over. Is that right? No, 9, you fool. Good grief. I didn't think anybody had gone for 19. 12. It says here. That one has been pulled around the corner. That'll be 4 runs unless David Lloyd can put the dive in. Oh, he put the dive and it bounced over his right arm and away across the boundary rope for 4. Not the start to the over that Alex Thompson would have wanted. I can't, Judge, there's no point in me making these notes because they're all wrong anyway.
You can't read them.
Well, I can read them, but yeah.
You've got a lovely little scorecard here, Fletch. Maybe you could, if you ever get bored of commentating, you could become a scorer.
Thank you. Thompson balls to Beddingham, who heaves this into the leg side, fielded by Du Pavillon. Beddingham moves to 9, 64 for 1. I just hope that poor old Dominic Dietrich managed to get on his plane before being subjected to this defeat for Derbyshire, which is what it appears to be heading towards. Thompson bowls, Beddingham pushes this up towards the long on fielder who comes in off the boundary, Lewis Rees. They take another single, they only need 8 and over. They don't need to do anything silly here. What they might need to do is improve their net run rate. Leicestershire 50 for 3 now after 5 overs and 4 balls, so they need another 145 from 86. You wouldn't expect them to get that. Yorkshire 68 for 3 in the 7th over, 142 from 79. Thompson is in. That one's been launched down the ground. Is it going to be caught? Is it going to go over the field? It's going to go over the field. Just a one-handed attempt to catch it. Nyron Donald down there.
Yep.
Couldn't quite haul it in. It's gone for 6. And Beddingham moves on. What was that, Lees? That was Beddingham.
Yeah.
Moves on to 15, 71 for 1. 85 to win now. He heaves this into the leg side. He's been caught by Samit Patel. That's a shocker of a shot from Beddingham. Samit takes the catch, diving to his left-hand side at short mid-wicket. The second wicket falls. Beddingham goes for 15. Durham are 71 for 2.
Yeah, Beddingham looks to try and sit back on that one and pull it into that gap on the leg side. There's a big gap between mid-wicket and long on. After just taking Thompson over long on, I think he was sitting back, gambling on it to be a little bit shorter, and he's tried to force a ball that wasn't quite short enough, I think, and only managed to pull it straight at Samit Patel, who takes a smart catch at short mid-wicket. 71 for 2, Durham.
And I defy you to go to any other sports stadium in the country, possibly the world, and expect to hear the Bay City Rollers. I'm not sure I've heard that song since 1973. The Bay City Rollers. I was born in I was alive in 1970. Sadly, I wasn't born in 1973. I was alive. It was a bit later than that, I think probably 74, 5. Irrelevant, of course. 71 for 2. Colin Ackerman's the new batter. Good acquisition for Durham in the close season from Leicestershire. Man most famous for taking a 7-foot in T20 cricket, but he can bat, as we know. South African. That one is pushed up to Samit. First ball. And Alex Thompson's second over comes to an end. 71 for 2 then after 9 overs. 12 off that one, I think. And Derbyshire have got some thinking to do here. It just feels like it's a step too far, and then they give you a bit of hope by taking a wicket. Things calm down again, then they give you hope by... Having said that, after 16 overs last night, I'd written them off at New Road, so things could change quickly in T20 cricket. Samit from the racecourse end beats Alex Lees. Did that turn?
It didn't. I think he was expecting it to turn. He was looking. I think he was looking for that sweep shot again, but it was a bit too wide and a bit too flat from Samit Patel, and Lees got himself into a bit of a mess with it.
And he's
kept a bit low again.
Big swing on that one. It's gone underneath the bat. It's an appeal for a caught behind from Samet. I'm not sure he had much support from anywhere else. Mohamed Amir keeping himself loose at... is he going to come on? He's keeping himself loose at short third man. Darren Dupavalon, who's only bowled the 1 over 14, is at short fine leg. Samit's in, the reverse comes out, and Mohamed Amir's let that one through his legs. That's awful. It's retrieved by Lewis Rees, and they come through for a couple of runs, and Lees moves to 43, 73 for 2. When the history of Derbyshire is rewritten, as it undoubtedly will be at some point, not by me obviously, the short spell by Mohamed Amir will not feature large. This one is pulled into the leg side by Alex Lees. They're thinking about the second, and Aaron Donald gets there nice and quickly and gets the return in. Lees moves to 44, 74 for 2. Just so much was expected. When they signed him, everybody thought, hang on a minute. Then he retired, or unretired from international cricket. So he didn't arrive as early as everybody would have hoped. As Samet is in, that one is driven nicely, but straight to an Aaron Donald at long off by Colin Ackerman, who's underway with a single, 75 for 2. He's played, this is his 5th match for Derbyshire, and this will be his final match for Derbyshire. Samet over the wicket to bowl to Lees, who goes for the reverse, and he misses it. It's collected by Brooke Guest behind the stumps. End of the over, 4 from it. 75 for 2 at the halfway stage. Derbyshire were 86, unfortunately for 5 at the halfway stage, and thereby hangs the tail. Derbyshire haven't got the early wickets they were hoping for, and as a result, Durham firmly in the driving seat here as we go into the final quarter of the final match in the North Group for Derbyshire and Durham. With Durham the favourites to win it, can they overhaul Leicestershire, who are now 59 for 4 in the 8th over, need 136 from 76, look like blowing up in there on their big day as well, and Alex Thompson to continue.
It's a strange option for Lees there. He's got 2 men behind point, Samet Patel, and he keeps having a go at that reverse sweep, and he's not really hit it properly.
Bravado.
You'd understand if he's trying to hit it up and over them, but he looks like he's just trying to help it on its way with 2 men there.
Thompson balls to Ackerman. There's a big swing of that one. Has he got something on it? If
Inside
he has,
edge, I think. Yeah,
if he has,
under edge.
It's a technical chance. Yeah, run given, not taken by Brooke Guest. Ackerman moves to 2, 76 for 2. He had a big swing at that one, Ackerman. Pushed through a little bit quicker, I fancy, by Thompson, who's in again now to bowl to Alex Lees, who gets one that does turn and pushes it back to the bowler. No run, 76 for 2 it remains. Required rate 8.3. Run rate at the moment 7.3. Not a major issue for Durham. This one is lifted into the leg side. They might get 2 here. Lewis Rees has run around the ball as he has to with it being a left-hander. Actually, he didn't, did he? That should have been an easy option for him, but they do get back for 2. Lees moves to 46, 78 for 2. 1 blow away from a half century and comfortably the highest score of the match. The Durham skipper, who waits as Thompson is in around the wicket, and he just lifts that out into the offside. It falls about a yard to the left of David Lloyd. A backward point. He picks up another single to move to 47, 79 for 2. Slight change to the field. Left and right handers out there at the moment, of course. Samet has gone across to extra cover. What he generally feels is a huge gap in the leg side, which he is giving to the right-handed Ackerman. Now there isn't a huge gap because it's been filled by Samet Patel, who's gone back to mid-wicket. In comes Thompson. Bowls to Ackerman, who misses that one, goes through to Brooke Guest. It's good bowling from Alex Thompson, this. It's his 3rd over, 1 for 28.
Yeah, he's looking to try and work that into the offside, Colin Ackerman, on the angle from Thompson, but he's just got in that to spin back through the gate, I think. Trying to play against the spin into the offside. It's good bowling.
Bowls again, that one is clipped into the leg side by Ackerman for a single out towards Pat Brown, who remains capless. It's the end of Thompson's 3rd over, 3 overs, 1 for 29, 5 runs from it, 80 for 2. Durham in pursuit of 156 to win the game and potentially give themselves a chance of being hammered by Surrey in September. They're such a good side, though, aren't they? Sorry, they are such a good side. Imagine in September they'll have a few players back, and Jason Roy not playing for them at the moment. He's out in America. He could come back and do a bit of damage. Curran, dear oh dear. 80 for 2. Sammit's going to bowl his third over. Anyway, good luck to Durham down there in September. 2 overs for 11. Sammit has bowled. He's in around the wicket to bowl to Ackerman, who drives, but straight at Wayne Madsen, who gets his body in the way of that one. It crashes into his chest, and there's no run. That run rate's required rate's climbing. In comes Sammit, bowls, and back into his crease goes Ackerman. Ball turns away from him, and it's picked up down below us at long off by Aaron Donald as they go through for another single. 81 for 2, 75 to win. 8.5 overs in which to get them. Required rate 8.7. Surely Durham can't blow it from here. Sammit bowls. It's a full toss. It's turned into the leg side. In fact, it's done more than been turned into the leg side. It's gone for 4 off the bat of Alex Lees. In between the two fielders out there, reasonably straight on the leg side, and Aaron Donald and Pat Brown. I didn't think he barely touched that one.
Full tosses don't take much hitting, do they, Fletch? It's very rare from Sammit Patel.
I don't think I've ever hit a cricket ball properly
Full
in my
top.
entire life.
Yeah, you don't see Sammit bowl many full tosses
No,
there.
you don't. He's in again and bowls to Lees, and this time it does turn and he hoiks it into the leg side. Pat Brown races in off the boundary to do the fielding. Seems to love his fielding, Pat Brown. Lees moves to 52. He got to his century, incidentally, off that boundary. 39 deliveries. It was his 8th 4. 86 for 2 now. Durham. Sammit is in and bowls to Ackerman, who pushes it into the onside. Sammit pushes it round the post. The batters get through for a single. He did well to reach it, to be fair. Struck out a right hand. Couldn't haul it in. And even if he had, I'm not sure he could have got up to throw it. 87 for 2.
Alex Lee's 50 wasn't greeted with much applause, was it? Just snuck under the radar.
I don't even think they announced it. That one turns and Lee's, he won't care. Pushes the ball down the ground for a single to move to 53 at the end of the over. 88 for 2. 8 runs off that one. After 12 overs, Derbyshire were 101 for 5. What's going on, buddy? What's going on?
Well, I think they're just trying to manage the innings a little bit better than Derbyshire did. They set off like a train, but they lost wickets throughout, whereas Durham are going the opposite way. They're trying to manage their risk and be smart about this chase. As you said in the pre-game, they're looking to try and pace this chase, Fletch, and not take too many wickets. And if Lees can bat through, he'll see them home and everybody else can play around him. It looks like the wicket seems to be spinning, and Sammit Patel is obviously going to be difficult to play on this spinny wicket. It looks like there's a little bit of uneven bounce as well. There's a few that we've seen keep low, and we saw in the first innings a few that bounced a little bit and took the edge through to the keeper. So it's obviously not the easiest pitch in the world, but I think Durham are managing it a lot better than Derbyshire did at this point.
Alex Thompson's feeling his back as he walks back to his mark, having bowled the first ball of his 4th over. It was punched down the ground for a single. 89 for 2. Scoreboard stopped. There we go. It's caught up, and Thompson is in again, and that one is a big appeal for like before wicket from Alex Thompson in that familiar style of his, down on one knee. Mohamed Amir warms up at short third man. One last roll of the dice from Sammit Patel, possibly. In comes Thompson again, and this one has been launched a mile. That's gone into the car park off Colin Ackerman's bat. That is huge. Bounces in the crowd, actually, and then goes over the green fence. Wow, that was a big shot from Ackerman, who more than doubles his score, moves on to 11, 95 for 2. And that was a fairly emphatic shot from Colin Ackerman.
It was, yeah. He's a very fine player with a spin, Colin Ackerman. He's very strong on the sweep, the reverse sweep. I think he just had enough of trying to poke and prod Alex Thompson there and just thought, I'm going to get down on one knee and launch this. a mile over deep mid-wicket. It's a long boundary over there. He's cleared it by 40 yards.
Thompson's in. He's rather got this one off a top edge, and it's gone out towards wide long off. Lewis Rees comes around to do the fielding. Ackerman picks up a couple more, moves to 13.97 for 2.
Yeah, he's almost flat battered that with his bottom hand over extra cover for 2. He didn't quite time it, but he looks to be trying to put the foot down now. Colin Ackerman.
They've got to the position where they probably need to finish it off quite quickly.
Oh,
And he's hit another
again.
6 out towards the mid-wicket boundary over the head of Pat Brown. 6 more. I was just about to say before this over started, they'd called Lewis Rees up to bowl this over, then changed their mind. Lewis Rees is probably more than happy that they changed their mind between them, the senior group, if indeed it is a group. Samit Patel very much in charge of things as far as T20 cricket is concerned, but Alex Thompson has gone for a couple of 6s, and this one has been pushed out towards the cover boundary where it's fielded by Ross Whiteley. 104 for 2 at the end of the over. Oh dear, 16 runs off that Alex Thompson over. 4 overs, 1 for 45, Alex Thompson. After 13 overs, Derbyshire were 108 for 6. And that is the reason that they're in the trouble that they're in at the moment. Looks like Pat Brown has been summoned from the cover boundary to bowl over number 14. That's 1 wicket to his name already. 2 overs, 1 for 11.
The Pavlon still only bowled 1 over.
And he's got to come back.
The overseas
at some
who's
point.
brought in especially instead of Zach Chappell for this game. He's bowled 1 over for 14 so far. He's going to have to come back at some point.
Yes. When can they risk bringing him back? 104 for 2. Pat Brown needs a hat-trick here. He'll be bowling initially to Colin Ackerman. So South African to South African / Dutch / whatever they want to be. Really
catch it.
edged and just past the edge of just past the dive of Brooke Guest. Rapid delivery. Dived away to his right-hand side. Brooke Guest couldn't get the paw on it. It raced away to a very fine third man for 4. Ackerman moves to 24 off 14. 108 for 2 now. Durham. And that required rate is down to 7 and over from here on in. Wasn't too far away from it.
Wasn't, no. He's great effort from Brooke Guest. He was just a bit too far away from him. He went full stretch at it. It's another 4 on to Leicester's total.
Brown in. That one is driven. Around goes an Aaron Donald to do the fielding. The batters get through for a single. 109 for 2. Ackerman moves to 25. Field moves around. Yorkshire hurtling towards defeat against Nottinghamshire. 105 for 5 now. And Leicestershire 79 for 6 on their big day at Edgbaston. And 116 off 61 with 4 wickets left. Could let Durham through the back door here. Or Derbyshire. In goes Pat Brown and bowls to Lees, and doesn't look like getting out really, does he? He looks almost like he's got some kind of invincible shield around him, because when he misses the ball, he does all right. And when the rest of the time he's just patting it around and hitting
He's
boundaries.
55 off 43, isn't he? He's not really taking any major risks. That's why it looks easier for him, and that's the advantage of batting second after a team who have put on a below par score. He can play without taking any extreme risks and make it look easy, while people around him, like Ackerman, can come in and play the shots and take the risks.
Brown's in. Ackerman pushes it up to mid-on. It's picked up by an Aaron Donald, who chucks it a yard over the stumps as he's diving forward. And they go for another single.
If Leicester lose and Yorkshire lose to Notts and Durham win, did Durham go through?
Net run rate. No, not net run rate. They go straight through. Oh, well, there you go. Start booking those hotels in London.
Net run rate only if Yorkshire win.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. 111 for 2. You were always on the ball, Woody, weren't you? Brown bowls a slower delivery. It's clipped nicely by Lees up towards wide, long on. The round goes and Aaron Donald doesn't pick it up cleanly. They get through comfortably for 2. Lees moves to 57, 113 for 2 with 1 ball of the 14th over left to bowl. 43 runs to win Durham. doesn't look like Derbyshire can do anything to stop them from winning. But Amir has been pushed back to third man on the boundary as the long on becomes a mid on. And Pat Brown goes in to complete his third over. Bowls to Lee's a slower ball again, pulled into the leg side. Out towards Wayne Madsen out there at square leg. Single is taken, 114, 10 off the over, 114 for 2. They need 42 more runs, Durham. They've got 6 overs in which to get them, which is about 7 and over.
And here is Lewis Rees-Fletch. Still surprised that the Pavlon's still not coming back with 6 overs left. Your overseas man, your main man who you've brought in for this game, doesn't seem to make much sense if you're only going to bowl in 1 over. I'm sure Jack Chappell would have bowled more than 1 over at this stage.
I've written the words "Du Pavillon Chapel" on my hand, so I don't forget to ask Mickey Arthur when we speak to him. I don't think I would forget, but just in case, you never know.
I'll write you a few questions for him, Fletch.
I'm sure you will. Here is Lewis Rees. That looked like the knuckleball because it came out all wrong, and it's down the leg side and it's wide. And Durham pick up another single, 115 for 2. God, 1 alone. Come on, Lewis. I'm sure that was from the crowd.
Someone in the Falcon stand.
Yeah. On his way in again now. Left armour over the wicket. Bowls to Lees, who heaves this into the leg side for 4. Out towards Alex Thompson. No, it's an Aaron Donald. They don't half look similar. And 4 more to the total. Du Pavillon is still not warming up. I just thought he was warming up there. Who's that down there?
Mohammed Amir is warming up. He's got 1 over left.
1 over of his Derbyshire career to go. How many wickets has he taken in those matches? In comes Lewis Rees, 3. Has pulled. I was going to say pulled. He tried to pull it, but it went straight.
Flat batted straight back at him.
Down towards long off where Wayne Madsen is waiting. Yeah, Mohammed Amir's bowling figures 0 for 38 against Leicestershire in 4 overs, 2 for 23 against Yorkshire at Chesterfield, 1 for 38 against Birmingham, and 0 for 22 against Worcestershire, so 3 wickets. I don't know what that calls a full toss from Lewis Rees. Almost reaches Pat Brown in the leg side, but not quite. He throws it back and bounces up. Does that hit Guest in the helmet? Not sure. I think if it
might
did,
have just got a glove on it. I think he's all right.
If it did, he would have to have the mandatory concussion check. 121 for 2, 35 to win. 5 overs and 3 balls. He waits to get them. The required rate now down close to 6. And Rees is on his way in again to bowl to Alex Lees, who reaches for 1 outside the off stump. Just plays it off the bottom edge of his bat straight into the ground. And round from behind the stumps comes Brooke Guest to do the fielding.
Yeah, I think it's a strange option to bring Lewis Rees on now. He's more of a defensive style bowler in T20 cricket who've taken the pace off. You've got De Pavillon, who is more of a attacking threat. He's more of a wicket-taking option in a scenario where Derbyshire are desperate for wickets. You'd have thought he'd be a better option at this stage.
You'd have thought so. That one is lifted down the ground up towards long off, where Wayne Madsen fields on the bounce. Single taken by Lees, who moves to 64. The partnership goes beyond 50 now. 122 for 2, 34 to win. Mohammed Amir continues to warm up. 1 ball of the Lewis Rees over to bowl. Poor old Rees will be remembered largely for the over that he bowled at Northampton this season. That's a slower ball. It's been smashed back down the ground for a 6 by Colin Ackerman. That has gone all the way. No question in my mind that umpire Hassan Adnan is going to signal 6. There we go. And Lewis Rees' over ends in very disappointing style. 128 for 2, 14 from it. It's almost like they've thrown in the towel. Samet is back for his final over. 3 overs for 19, so he's still got the opportunity to bowl 4 overs for 24.
4 overs for 20 odd.
They're very much standard from Samet, who's just organising his field. Alex Lees on 64, waits. Samet bowls to him and he remains on 64 as he pushes the ball straight back to the Derbyshire skipper. 50 deliveries Alex Lees has faced for his 64, just 18 for Colin Ackerman, who's on 33 not out at the non-striker's end. Lees picks up more runs here. He's hit that very hard indeed. It's nicely fielded by Aaron Donald, but they get back for a couple. Lees moves to 66, 130 for 2. They need 26 to win now. We've almost been on countdown since the innings started, haven't we, really? Which is hugely, hugely disappointing.
Yeah, no, it's never really been in a contest, has it, so far? It's just always been so easy for Durham without any disruption from Derbyshire. You've just been able to cruise along on the merry way and manage the innings and just tick along without taking too many risks and almost making it look easy.
Swing and a miss from the first delivery of the over. Now they're claiming a catch here. I think they're saying that he was hit into the feet or hit into his foot by Alex Lees. Wayne Madsen is pleading with the square leg umpire Hassan Adnan. David Milnes at the other end is basically standing there with his hands on his hips saying, what on earth are you talking about? You'd have to watch a replay to see.
I thought he might have chopped on at first.
Yeah, the bails were removed by Guest, but I think they were claiming that
no, it's hit the floor.
Yeah, he chopped into his foot. I didn't think he had his ball. Next ball is played back to Samet. It's been a really good over from Samet. 1 ball to go. He is now going to finish with 4 overs for 20 odd. He's conceded 21 runs so far. He's in and bowls to Lees, who pushes this down the ground. They've run the first one quickly. Brown misses it, and that's really well fielded by Aaron Donald behind him, who wouldn't have been expecting that. And that's the end of Samet Patel for this season in T20 cricket as well. 4 overs for 23, 132 for 2 at the end of the over. 4 runs from it, 4 overs to go, 24 runs to win. You can work out the required rate yourselves at home. Moon's coming up, look.
It is, yeah.
It's exciting, isn't it? I'm trying to find the excitement wherever I can.
Here's Mohammed Amir from the City end. He's coming back on. Still no Darren de Pavlon. 4 overs left. He's bowled 1 over.
Bizarre.
It's very strange. It's very
Absolutely
strange.
bizarre.
First over didn't go his way, but if you're going to bring him in, he's your overseas. You're bringing him in for a reason. You've got to back him in after his first over. Can't just give him 1 over and then be done with him.
Well, now he'll come back under so much pressure.
Well, he'll come back now, but it's too late.
Yeah.
It's far too late.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring him in, you've got to back him.
Speaking of Mickey Arthur at the end of the innings, and we hope to squeeze it in live, I would suggest, no matter what, live on pitch side. Here's Mohammed Amir then bowling to Colin Ackerman, who's on 33, 132 for 3. Ackerman pushes this up towards mid-on. Run a ball will get Durham home. They take a run off the first ball of the over, and they move to 133 for 2. Ackerman moves on to 34 off 19. David Lloyd still urging more from his Derbyshire teammates. I think he's going to be back in charge in the 50-over competition. Not entirely sure Samet Patel's going to be with us. T10 in Scotland. This one is pulled into the leg side by Lees up towards mid-on, fielded by Lewis Rees, single taken. Lees moves to 69, 134 for 2. So just so I can get this straight in my head, Durham win, they're through. Thank you. Yeah, so Leicestershire are 98 for 8. They need 97 or 42 with 2 wickets remaining, and Yorkshire are 119 for 5 as Mohammed Amir bowls, and that one's cut away for 4 by Ackerman, who looks intent on getting a half-century for himself here this evening. He moves on to 38, 138 for 2 now, Durham. 18 runs to win, 3.5 overs in which to get them. Yorkshire 88 from 32 balls. Northants need 66 from 48, and they're only 3 down to beat Lancashire and book themselves a home quarter-final, which will be an impressive achievement for a side that have been beaten fairly convincingly by Derbyshire here at the county ground, and they only beat Derbyshire in a very close game at Wantage Road. Another single taken, 139 for 2, 17 more runs required. Darren Dupavlon looks almost a broken man. He's got to come back and bowl a lot of overs in the 50-over competition. He'd be well rested, to be fair. Here comes Mohamed Amir, bangs that one in. It was a slightly slower ball, and Lees pulls it into the leg side for a single. He moves to 70, 140 for 2. All sorts of messages popping up now. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's going to turn out that this game is now done for Derbyshire, and Dupavlon has bowled 1 over that matters in this game. As an overseas, you've brought him in for Zach Chappell, who's been ever present in this Derbyshire T20 team, performed well, and he's going to bowl 1 over that actually matters in the game.
16 wickets this season, Zach Chappell. That one goes out down towards third man. Bounces up and is saved by Alex Thompson. They come back for a couple though. Colin Ackerman moves on to 41, 40 to 10 runs off that over. 142 for 2, and Mohamed Amir's contribution this evening. 4 overs for 24, the same as, well, that's 1 run worse off than Samit Patel, and it's Pat Brown.
Still not Dupavlon. He's going to end up having to bowl the last over. And
You have to bowl the last 2. It isn't going to work, is it? They're going to have to find another over from somebody. It might not be another over.
well, that's what I'm saying. If this one goes for a few, and then Dupavlon's going to have to bowl the next one,
I'll bring
and
Reece
he's
back.
going to end up just bowling the last one for the sake of it.
Yeah. And conceding the winning runs.
Exactly.
Or the
Yeah.
losing runs, as it would be in this case. So Pat Brown, 3 overs, 1 for 21. The big bowlers have done pretty well. Patel, 23 conceded. Pat Brown, 21 in 3 overs. Amir, 4 overs for 24. Pat Brown is in, and that one is played into the ground. Pat Brown's footballing skills let him down as he kicks the ball towards the vague direction of the stumps, really.
And Alex Lees has gone for all money there. If he'd have hit, he's done.
Sadly.
A chance to get back.
Sadly. These things never work out for Derbyshire. 14 to win, 142 for 2. And we still have 17 balls to go. Or thereabouts. The same level of lack of enthusiasm that has been in the crowd, and it's entirely understandable. Here goes Pat Brown on his way in. Lee's on 70. Turns that down to fine leg for a single. He moves to 71, 143 for 2. Partnership worth 72 off 51 between these two. Ackerman contributing 41 of those off 22 balls. He's hit a couple of, he's hit 3 sixes, a couple of enormous 6s though, Colin Ackerman. What an acquisition he's been. It just shows you don't need the stars. He's just an extremely, extremely good T20 cricketer, isn't he?
He's an extremely good cricketer. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the country for me.
Oh, there's another 6, is it? No, it's going to drop short. It's bouncing once and going over the rope for 4. Straight back over Pat Brown's head from Ackerman. It moves to 45. And if anybody deserves a half century, it's Colin Ackerman. 150 up for, 147 for 2. 9 to win.
I think Derbyshire should have gone all out to try and sign him last year. As soon as they knew that Leas was leaving, they should have gone all out to try and sign Colin Ackerman. He's the only player that would have been available that could have even come close to replacing Leas Deploy's runs in all 3 formats. He's a terrific player.
But he has moved into the first division, hasn't he? In the county championship with Durham, of course. Brown, 1 for 26, on his way in now. Ackerman turns this into the leg side when Madsen, who's at point, raises his arms for some reason. He's the most enthusiastic fielder I think I've ever seen. Leg by signalled. 1, 4, 8 for 2, 8 to win of 14 deliveries. Do love an inevitable conclusion to a T20, don't you?
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it?
It's hugely disappointing.
Really disappointing.
Hugely disappointing. They've fluffed their lines for the 2nd season in a row, having worked their way into a position where they could reach the quarterfinals. Brown is in, and that one is pulled fairly straight to an Aaron Donald, who has a shot at the stumps. He manages to hit Alex Lees, who is down. Nothing deliberate, clearly, about that. Lees moves to 72, 149 for 2. Gets back to his feet, hobbles a bit. I'm sure he'll be okay. I hope he'll be okay. 72 off 60 for Lees. 7 to win. And an 8-wicket defeat in a must-win game with plenty to spare is an absolute thrashing.
Yeah, this is worse than the Worcestershire game last year
It
for
feels
me.
worse, doesn't it?
Miles
It feels
worse.
worse, yeah.
They got 220, I think, and we came close with 205, 208 or something.
You're going to make me look now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Single's been taken there, incidentally. 150 up for Durham. It shouldn't take long to look it up, in
It was
fairness.
definitely more of a contest than this.
Well, this hasn't been a contest from the start, has it really? There's the game. Derbyshire against Worcestershire last season. Worcestershire made 222 for 5 with 64 from Mitch Santner, who, of course, a few years ago could have been a...
Look at those figures, Fletch. Have a
Derbyshire.
look at them.
Tom Wood, 2 overs for
In the
15.
context of that game, what a performance. of
About
that.
those figures there.
Yeah.
7 off 8, opening the batting with Harry Kame, and Derbyshire made 194 all out with 2 balls of their innings remaining to
There's
lose.
just a couple of big overs in that game that ruined it. A couple of big overs in that first innings. Didn't get off to the best of starts, dragged it back, and then there was a couple of bad overs at the end, which just probably took it out of reach. But
Here he is, Darren Dupavalon.
6 to win. What a waste.
Yeah, bowls a short delivery that
Probably
goes
took a bit of just anger out there and getting that bumper in.
Ackerman's nose. Yeah, it's certainly not been one of Darren Dupavalon's best evenings, sadly.
Well, they've not really given him much chance
No,
either
they've given
after
it-
his first over. They've hung him out to
for
dry.
that reason, absolutely.
Feel for the man.
Yeah, I do.
If you're going to bring him in, you've got to back him. You have to back him, especially in this situation. He's a wicket taker.
They get a hat-trick in this over and they'll lose. And he'll just drop the mic and walk off. He's in now from the City end bowls. That is sharp down the leg side wide. 151 for 2, 5 to win. Derbyshire look like they might take it possibly to the last over.
Who's going to bowl it, Fletch?
Well, that is
It's
the
going to have to
question.
be Reese, isn't
I
it?
think Guesty should take his pads off and bowl it. Get Wayne on to bowl it. I don't know. Jono could bowl it. He's sitting behind. He's not doing anything. He looks like he's itching for a bit of action. 5 to win then. 1 blow away. 151 for 2. Dupavalon is in. Bowls to Ackerman, who gets a bottom edge, and it's down for 4 to fine leg, and now the scores are level. That just about sums Derbyshire's night up. He went for the big heave into the leg side, Colin Ackerman.
50 for Colin Ackerman
It is
as
his
well.
50. He's done really well. It's 27 ball 50 as well from Colin Ackerman, who acknowledges the applause of the
just from the Durham
dugout, 'cause
dugout,
that's the
nothing
only
else.
applause that was here. These two have put on 84 for the 3rd wicket. The field closes in. Derbyshire, well, they have blown it big style tonight. Lost wickets regularly. Didn't take early wickets themselves. Here comes Dupavalon then. 155 for 2. Bowls to Ackerman, who clips that one into the leg side, and the agony is prolonged as it's fielded by Aniran Donald at mid-wicket. Be interested to hear the reaction of the crowd when the game finishes, because
Well, I think some of them are leaving now, Fletch.
yes,
Start the car.
they were expecting big things from this Harlem Globetrotters of a team. Look at Jono. 155 for 2. I maintain it. I maintain it. This team was built to do well in the T20. They haven't got out of the group stage. Here is Dupavalon. Into bowl to Ackerman, who plays it into the ground. Dupavalon fields in his follow-through, and it's still all square. What happens in the case of a tie, Chris? What happens if it's tied? I don't think we really need to trouble ourselves too much with that one. It's a really good comeback over from Dupavalon. 5 runs from it, including the wide, and the 4
inside edge.
was off an inside edge down to fine leg. So it's been a really good comeback from him. 1 or 2 getting a bit rowdy. The heat getting to them, perhaps.
Or the alcohol.
Potentially the alcohol. Here we go. 1 to win. 155 for 2. De Pavillon sets off, runs towards us, bowling to Colin Ackerman, who's on 50. It's a full toss and it's beaten away into the leg side for 4. And Durham win this one by 8 wickets. That is an absolute hammering from a Derbyshire perspective. They also had 7 deliveries to spare. Derbyshire's total of 155 for 8 never ever looked like it was going to be enough, and so it proved. Alex Lees finishing unbeaten, 72 of 60 deliveries, a proper captain's innings, and Colin Ackerman destructive as ever, 54 of 30. They finish on 159 for 2, and for the second season in a row, Derbyshire have completely fluffed their lines in the final game of group action in the T20 Blast, and their campaign, Chris, is over.
It is, Fletch, thank you. And over in the most disappointing way, really, Tom. We'll pick through the wreckage in more detail because there's a lot to get through. But first and foremost, you can't escape the feeling of massive disappointment to lose by 8 wickets and throw in the mix that the 2 results they needed to go their way have emphatically gone their way, just to dot the I's across the T's. Unless miracles happen, Leicestershire are going to lose. In fact, Leicestershire have lost to Birmingham Bears by 72 runs, so they've been hammered at Edgbaston. Yorkshire needs 67 from 20, so they're going to lose there. As Fletch said, Durham have very much come through the back door. They were out of the 4 teams in contention for that 4th place, Durham were the least fancied, and yet they've done it by beating Derbyshire, hammering them, and that will rankle so much with Derbyshire. Results have gone their way, this one hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, results have gone their way, but they just couldn't get their own result to go the way they needed to go, which is incredibly disappointing, especially after the victory last night and grasping victory from the jaws of defeat, heroics from Ross Whiteley and Alex Thompson at the end there to come here, and a sense of excitement around the club, around the ground. It's a beautiful evening, full house here at Derbyshire. To come and put in a very abject performance like that is disappointing, to say the least.
So Durham are going to finish 4th on 15 points, Leicestershire 5th on 14, Derbyshire, Yorkshire 13 and 13, but I dare say Derbyshire's net run rate probably has taken a bit of a hammering tonight, so that they could slip to 7th, and to finish 7th, as Fletch was saying, in a campaign that was targeted as one where a quarter-final spot was a bare minimum, that there will be some questions asked after this.
Yeah, there will, and rightly so. I think when, like we spoke about all season, really, this team has been built, especially with the T20 in mind. You've brought in a lot of experienced players, Samit Patel, Ross Whiteley, Pat Brown. Like you said, the minimum expectation is to get out of the group at least, and to not even be able to achieve that and have exactly the same results as last year is incredibly disappointing.
There didn't really feel like there was much belief that Derbyshire could do it from the very first few balls, actually, that Mohamed Amir bowled. Yeah, actually the first couple of overs he was moving it away. Darren de Pavillon we'll discuss in a moment, because to have overs 1 and 19, you've given him the first over, his first over. We don't see him again until the over pretty much that Derbyshire are going to lose, which seems baffling, but we'll get on to that. There just didn't feel like there was that belief that it could be done, that the body language always felt a little bit flat right from the off.
Yeah, it did. Obviously, when you know you've got an under par score, everything has to go to plan in the second half. So to come out, you need to come out with that intent and to take early wickets. And as soon as that didn't happen, Mohamed Amir bowled a few good overs, but the other end they got off to a flyer. And that just almost sucks all the life and the belief out of the fielding team to know that the only way they're going to win that game is if they get off to a fast start and take wickets. And when that doesn't happen, it's almost, like you said, inevitable that there's not really much they can do and they're going to lose, and it's just a matter of when then.
So Durham chasing 156 with ease, really, anchored by the captain Alex Lees, who finished 72 not out from 60. Colin Ackerman played really well for his 54. Graham Clark, who opened 13, a run of ball 13, and then David Bedingham in at 3-15. The bowling figures for Derbyshire: Mohamed Amir 0 for 24, Darren de Pavillon 0 for 23 from 1 over and 5 balls, didn't even get through his second over. Alex Thompson 1 for 45 from 4, Pat Brown 1 for 28 from 4, Samet 0 for 23 from 4 and a solitary over for Lewis Rees that went for 14. Darren Dupavlon, let's talk about it. There may be more to it, and perhaps when Fletch speaks to Mickey Arthur at some point, we'll find out. But that almost screams a decision that someone has made that Samet hasn't agreed with, because he's almost bowled him for 1 over and then completely ignored him. It feels like it's the captain that thinks, no, I'm not sure I really went on board with this decision.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it looks. Especially with Zach Chappell being an ever-present in this team. He's performed well throughout this tournament for Derbyshire. To have, and this is no criticism of Darren Dupavlon. I thought he's done well when he's played. He's obviously an experienced professional. He's done well in the SA20. But to bring somebody in, bowl them 1 over, granted that over didn't go his way. He missed his length a little bit. He didn't quite execute. But to just discard him to the side and not use him again until the game is literally already over is exactly what you said, Chris. It just screams that maybe the captain wasn't completely on board with him and he doesn't have the faith in him to bring him back. It just shows to me a clear lack of trust, which, like, it's almost hard to watch. Like, you don't want to see that. I know how difficult it is playing professional cricket, and to see him, he's a great guy. He's honest. He gives it his 100% effort, and that's all you can ever ask of someone. But to see him just be discarded to the side and almost that not being trusted to come and bowl in such an important game it is tough to see. It's not nice.
You're right, and you're absolutely right in what you say, especially given that it almost felt at the end it was, okay, well, I'm going to make sure that you're the bowler that is bowling when we lose this game. And even had he completed his over, then to come in, quite a high-profile change, as we've mentioned, and then only to get through 2 overs as it would have been is staggering. And when you look at the batting lineup as well, clearly Derbyshire were hampered by, and not saying that Zach Chappell would have turned the game, but it would have been another batter. I know he's a bowler, but it would have been someone with batting capability that you then lost with Dupavlon coming in for Chappell.
Yeah, of course, and we mentioned that at the start of the game, so this isn't hindsight coming back and being 2020. This is an objective opinion from, we said at the start that